Yeah, Bim Bolt. Oh, I miss the music. I miss you guys. Welcome to the Film Waltz, everyone. That's Anderson. I'm Brian Bishop, your host for today, the first show of the new year. So you know what that means? Top 5 New Year's resolutions. Top 5 things we resolve for the show, for each other, for ourselves. And of course, a host of Fanflickssions. This is the time of year where we catch up. Well, I catch up. And coming off a couple of very long flights, was able to watch a few movies, speaking of which, I had meaning to catch up on. So here we are. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, bud.
Happy New Year.
Good to see both of you guys.
Yes.
I've missed you. I've missed you a little less, Avery, because I got to see you.
Well,
Brian was gone.
but not there was no flesh meeting.
There was no. Don't call it that. Don't call it that. Yeah.
Flesh meeting sounds like something that
We all know what it sounds like.
would have said in what's it called?
Sounds like a
Four
third,
things?
third
Four
act
things.
of four things.
I think she'd be much more likely to say that in The Curse.
Furious jumping in the flesh meetings. Yeah,
Flesh
yeah.
jumping.
I
Flesh
think
meeting.
that her character in The Curse would much more likely say flesh meetings.
Can we have a
the
flesh
curse.
meeting?
Oh, like a meet cute. Right. I totally get it. I totally get where I'm the same way. That's Emma Stone in The Curse.
Get her out of here. Get her. Fuck out.
All right. Okay. Hey. Good to be back. You said a host of films. You're absolutely right. I don't even know. I don't know what we're going to be talking about today.
I'm holding back a couple because I would like to discuss them with you.
Interesting.
But I have plenty to choose from.
Oh, like movies that I have not seen.
I don't know that you've seen.
Okay.
And like, for example, I threw out behind the scenes peek for everyone. Threw out Past Lives earlier today to you too via text.
Seen it.
You're like,
Seen it.
Save.
Yeah, and we can save it because there's so many movies that are in theaters now. Past Lives, we're still going to be catching up with, but we will cover that before our Vaulties for sure.
But it's not been discussed by you.
No. But I think we have movies that are like more pressing because they just came out to theaters.
Have you seen one involving shirtless men? Speaking of pressing films,
I have not. He's big on Iron Claw, and I don't know if you have yet.
No, I haven't seen
you
it.
haven't.
well, I don't know if I'm big on it. I just think it should be
Big on
discussed.
it. You like to talk
big
about
on
it. You like to talk about it.
I like that.
Pressing flesh.
Yes. Speaking of flesh
Flesh
meetings,
meeting.
seeings.
American Fiction is the one that's currently limited in theaters. I don't know if it's ever going to reach wide. We will see.
I actually I can't remember the last time I saw this, but when I saw Poor Things Again, I saw a trailer for American Fiction that was one of those. It's getting nominated. It's one of those which I haven't seen that in a long time.
And I can see it finding a larger audience for sure. So hopefully it does get a
I think they're
wider
pushing.
release.
I
So
think
we are
they're
going
going
to
for
be
it.
covering that today.
Yes, I saw the same trailer yesterday, and I'd already seen American Fiction. So
Which is good because it gives a lot away.
The recut trailer where it's like, oh, awards, this and that. And footnote for when we talk about the movie, really featured the brother character much more than the original trailer had, which I think is a huge asset to the movie because he's really good.
And gives you a better sense of what it's,
Yes.
the actual tone, which we'll get into.
So happy to see that.
Alrighty. We're also going to be talking about at least one assigned movie that is new this year, and that is The Worst Ones.
Oh, I thought we have 2 assigned.
Nick Eats Cake has assigned us The Worst Ones, and we will be discussing The Worst Ones today, which needs a little discussion. I actually caught up with Nick Eats Cake, the assigner, who is he's a true cinephile. He really knows his movies. He really likes to talk about them, and he's really, really fun to talk to. And he's not when cinephiles.
Tell me he was eating cake.
He was not eating cake, but like when you hear cinephile, I know I cringe, and I know like thinking about myself, even just 10 years ago, I'd cringe at because how a lot of it was shtick and an act, but still, like the type of person who considers himself a cinephile, a lot of the time you just want to kick them right in the teeth. But that's not Nick. Nick is so understated and soft-spoken, and he just loves movies. He loves the human experience and the empathy machines, as Mr. What's his name used to call him. That's no respect. Mr. Ebert used to call him. Yeah, and
as you said, the chinless wonder.
I did not call him the chinless wonder. That was not me. That's some other version of me. Please. We'll get to all that with the New Year's resolutions once again, which we will be doing towards the end of this episode. So it's going to be
more vitriol in 2024.
Might be a little the other direction, but Fanflickssions are going to be full. And what we do first, though, also Andrew Martin assigned us Stray Dogs, a lesser-known Kurosawa film called Stray Dogs from 1963, which we will also be covering if time permits. If not, we might have to push it to next week.
I'm ready.
Should I also assign before we get behind things? And
yeah, we should. This will tie nicely into one of my New Year's resolutions.
Is assigning up top?
No, well, in a roundabout way.
All right.
Yes, continue, please.
Josh Butler has assigned us La moustache. La moustache.
What does that translate to?
The woman's mustache.
Nice.
No, I think it means
Her mustache?
I think it means saltwater dwelling eel.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that's what the direct translation is.
Thank you for mentioning and jogging my memory for Cinephile. There's a documentary that I want to call Cinephile every time, and it's actually called Cinemania. I think we both have seen this documentary. It's about actual, like, dyed-in-the-wool cinephiles, like guys who are so into movies, they will spend the majority of their day going to independent like art house cinemas and seeing movies and eating a constipating diet of cheese.
No. We don't need to say constipated diet. But yeah, it's the guys in New York, right? They go back to see the same movies over and over again.
Yes, a restrictive diet that so they don't have to miss any of the movie. It's a great,
God.
It's a very independent documentary. I think it's shot on video. It's very rough around the edges. Man, I remember that. And I like this documentary. It's streaming for rent. Sorry, on
We need a
Apple TV.
Megan's Law for those guys.
They are kind of Megan's Law. They're kind
Yeah.
of creepy, but they're also very genuine.
They're all New York, right?
I remember it being.
Why are
very
you
New
bringing
York.
this up there?
Because you mentioned Cinephile, which is what I call this movie every time.
Is that
but
the
it's
reason why you're
called
bringing it up?
Cinemania.
It's
Yes.
one of his resolutions.
That's why you brought that up.
Because it's a real Cinephiles.
Like, so you brought up a movie from that you can't really remember much about. You don't
Oh,
even
no,
know
I
if it
remember
takes
a lot
place in
about
New
it.
York, and you missed. Okay,
I remember
I'm
these
breaking.
dudes like
Breaking one of my
antisocially
rules.
Well, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't been enacted. So
sitting on the couch,
Okay.
just popping VHS after VHS and just watching, like almost an addiction.
Thanks for that aside, Brian. Thank you. That was really a fun aside.
I don't feel like it was an aside at all.
Can
It
we-
was
can
the
we
main
maybe-
focus of this episode?
If you think you can maybe wedge it in later on in the episode just to recap it, that'd be cool too. Like to bring it up again. somehow.
Cinemania can be rented on Amazon.
We have enough to get to. All right, we don't need to be talking about cheese-eating cinephiles from yesteryear. All right.
I feel like one of them wore a diaper. Anyway,
I
I
don't
thought you were
recall.
going to say, I feel like we do.
I feel like we do.
Okay, try and wedge it in later on. I'll be very proud of you if you do. I don't think you will.
Wedge of cheese.
Yes, very good, Brian. Cheese wedges, yes.
Hey,
Nice
it's a
time.
new year. Got it started. We got warmed up.
It's actually the old year at this point. Anyone says Happy New Year to me on the street, I give them a very dirty look because it's too late. Too
I
late in
said
the game to
Happy
be
New
saying
Year
that.
to you at the top of the year. Well, I haven't seen you.
I gave you a dirty look.
I haven't seen you.
Yeah, but you should
But
have.
that always happens.
You're out gallivanting.
true.
You're gallivanting.
I
And
was
now here we are.
traipsing. I was traipsing across Europe.
How did that go? How did it go traversing foreign land with everything you got going on health wise? Was it okay?
I'll talk more
Did
about
they,
that on the
did,
Bryan
they,
and Gina show.
did they accommodate you? Well, do you have any ADA? Or actually, it wouldn't be ADA. It'd be UDA over there,
Actually,
European
you know,
Disability Act.
EUDA. I will say this, a genuine observation. Whereas, and that's funny you mentioned specifically the ADA, the Adults with Disabilities Act. Here in the U.S., I've observed a lot of.
What about the kids with the disabilities? Fuck
Those are
them?
good prize. They're really good. Oh, it's Americans. with
It's Americans,
Disabilities.
that's
All
right.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Have to correct you.
they
have to correct you
for
where I
someone
can.
visiting from another country with a disability, fuck them.
Yeah.
As Americans
Okay.
with disability,
Uh,
love it or leave it.
Well, I mean, it's better than adults.
That's right,
Like
that's
little
true.
fucking kids just squirming
Yeah,
in the
that's right.
street because they can't tell what's happening.
How old are you? 17 and a half.
Get
Sorry.
the fuck out of here. You got no rights.
Clawing their way up the stairs.
Yeah. Somehow they make the stairs that you have to be at least 18. You got to put in your birthday.
That's right. They rope off the, as they call them in Europe, the lift.
Adults. Okay.
Yes. Whereas here in the U.S., I've observed that the accessibility features, the ADA, is very regulated by the government, i.e., businesses are compelled to have this accessibility. In Europe, where there are many narrow, harrowing staircases that are, they're from fucking 1700. There's nothing you do about it. You're not going to fix that or address it because the building is simply not.
I feel like
accommodating.
they should probably tear those down.
The people go out
Put
of
up a
their
Cheesecake
way.
Factory.
Yeah. With ramps. Yeah.
The people went out of their way, employees and whatnot, to really accommodate you. There were more than
Would
once.
they have carried you up the spiral staircase had you asked?
There was more. They would have. There was more than once where I was just kind of with Christy and Tessa limping around the line looking for an entrance.
Just in case someone's new to the program too, can you let people know that you're limping around because of a football injury
Yeah. I was saving a mother and child from a drowning car, and
on the football field?
that's on a football field. The car itself was drowned.
At the Rose Bowl, right?
That's right. No, I through years of cancer therapy, I have endured several setbacks physically, and it's difficult to get around. Europe is especially difficult because fucking cobblestone everywhere, and just miles and kilometers and kilometers of walking. So it made it very challenging, but I was up for the challenge. And there was more than once where I was, like I said, with Christy and Tessa, doing my best, but kind of limping and looking for an entrance to this place where there's a giant, as they say, queue, a line to get in. And out of nowhere, an employee would just come up, sort of tap me on the shoulder and be like, "Sir, right this way." And
Nice.
They just escorted me right to the front of the line, or right to the handicapped entrance, or whatever it was.
That is great. That's very nice to hear.
It was heartwarming, honestly.
Now,
Yeah.
after it happened the first time, how many times did it happen?
That happened twice.
Okay, the first time it happened, you're probably like, "Oh, what a delight."
Yeah.
The second time it happened, knowing you the way I do, I'd assume that you were able to make a shift in your brain and at least fantasize that they were doing that because they recognized you.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
100%.
Right this way, Mr. Bishop.
I was standing still. So I hope that they, I mean, I appreciate they didn't make a big deal out of it and be like, "Oh my God, I love you on the," and name any number of projects. I love your blah, blah, and then come right this way.
I picture them taking you to the front of the line and you're just forcing your signature on them, like your autograph. They're like, "No, sir, we don't need autographs because you have a
Nothing to
limp.
sign here. Please, please.
That's why
You have a
Brian's
baby to
limping.
sign or something? What's up?"
That's why he's limping. He's got a carrier bag full of shrinkage copies.
That's right.
That is a good bit. There's a great bit there. Like
Every-
that's what the limp's all about. Is
Yes,
because
yeah.
he has so many of his slicks, his
I felt
headshots.
so foolish bringing all those socks and all those books.
And it's uneven because it's a carrier bag, so it throws off his balance.
That's right.
New York Times bestselling author here. All right.
Hey, that looks like you. No,
What's
that is
that?
me. On the cover
Oh,
of
I
the
see.
book.
You know what I did? This is an aside, which I just gave you shit about. But just yesterday, I overheard my wife explaining to my 7-year-old what a title is. Now, granted, he should already know what a title is, right? But I think she might have been just making
Like
sure.
a nobleman or the title of a book?
Title of a book, title of a movie, and I heard that, and I think he got the answer right. He's like, "Oh yeah, that just means like what it's called or whatever." And I said, "And then you know what happens in the book? If the title is named after one of the characters, you know what that character is?
Oh, no.
The titular character."
Yes.
And I gave him a look and I gave him a smile, and the wife just rolls her eyes and she goes, What is that?" And I said, "That's Brian."
That is a long running.
And that's the
It's
first
like-
time I've ever used it the way Brian uses it, pretty much weekly, and it felt pretty good. And then she launched into this thing like, "You hate elitism so much, but if you were one of the elite, you probably love it." I'm like, "No, I absolutely, how dare you?
I mean, let's try it for a
Do you
month.
even know who I am?" Oh, it hurts when the wife doesn't know who I am.
Painful.
And I said, if I had like a first class ticket, I feel uncomfortable. Like as people were walking by me, she's
really?
like, "Oh, okay, next time we have
Well-
a first class ticket, give it away." I'm like, I don't know if
You
I
know
can do
what?
that.
You would not feel uncomfortable because people walk their direction on the nice planes. You walk to the left, they walk to the right.
What are you talking about? No, once you're sitting in the front of the plane,
Yes,
all the
Anderson.
people.
In the front of the plane, the fucking entrance is after the nice planes. The entrance.
Oh,
is
you got to go on the
after-
tarmac though.
I never see those people.
Well, but you don't go on the tarmac in the United States anymore after the old 9/11 over there. What are you
There's-
talking about?
No, there's jetways.
Okay. They have 2 jetways, one for what? What are you?
No,
I don't know if I've seen that.
The jetway goes to like 1/5 of the way into the plane. First class makes a left.
Oh,
to
I
the
see.
First.
You ever been on a plane where it does that?
No, you
Yeah.
probably
Never.
wouldn't.
International.
Brian, I want to kick you. Kick you right in the
It's
butt.
got to be one of those really big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was.
Hey, the plane you were
really
on,
were.
did they have self-serve where you can get up and like make yourself a drink if you want?
Yeah, on one of the planes they had a bar.
Oh, it's fucking
on
great.
The other
It's the
plane,
best.
That's good.
yeah.
You don't
mean-
even, it's not even first class or anything. Anyone, children are allowed to just go up and pour themselves a wine.
Can I tell you
Oh, it's the
something?
best.
I hate myself for doing this, but for the first time ever, I intentionally rang the bell to get the person to come over.
To give them an autograph.
No, I mean I would have, but I was like, ding.
What for? What'd you need?
I need my pillow fluffed.
What'd you need?
I don't remember.
You don't remember.
It was.
You've never done it in your life, and this was so pressing that
was
you had
it?
to push the button, and
No,
you can't
it
remember.
was-
It was something
a napkin or something.
that you could have got your ass up for.
No, that's the thing. In the nice first class,
Oh, jeez. What are you
doing?
doing? Nice first. You were nice first class on to Europe.
And back.
What's that ticket cost?
Nothing.
Points.
Yeah, Chrissy, you know.
That's a lot of. What do you mean? You can't say the points cost nothing. You know how much you got to spend to get. All right, what are we doing?
She didn't spend a dime.
Good
The company
pod.
flew over there. I will say this though.
People tune in to listen about
I
movies.
will say this: they get you with the fees. That free ticket
Yeah.
cost a couple $1,000
Yeah.
in fees.
Hmm.
Yeah, outrageous. I mean, it's a fraction of the cost it would have been, but fuck,
Still a couple
they
thousand.
get. I think all told, yeah.
I've heard enough. I would like to hear about movies. I would like to hear what the listeners.
Like
And
to hear more about cheese.
Avery had something he wanted to interject with, but we just steamrolled that fucker.
No, it's not good.
All right.
Wasn't worth it.
Let's see what the listeners have been
You're
up to.
afraid of
I'm watching your dog.
interrupting all the good stuff.
I'm watching your dog poop right now at the window. Look at how excited he was, like a small child.
Fanfliction.
Brian, I'm not joking. I've not seen you move that fast in a long time.
I'm excited.
He's rejuvenated from Europe.
Honestly, aside from full disclosure,
Just going back into it.
I twisted my ankle pretty bad on one of the cobblestone steps.
Good ankle or bad ankle?
Bad ankle.
Oh, thank God.
And,
Can you imagine if it was a good ankle? You'd be fine.
Yeah, it was bad. It was actually extremely painful for 24 hours. And then from then till now, which is about 7 days, weirdly swollen. I'll show you my ankle.
I'm good.
Odd. Like, it looks like there's like a little donut under the skin at the base of my foot. It's weird. But point is, actually, aside from that, I feel like Europe was really good for me. Like physically, I feel good, and I'm walking around and probably 12 to 14,000 steps a day.
Oh, nice.
It was raining a ton, so we actually took a lot of cabs to get from
They're
place to place.
They're little steps, though.
They're little steps.
They're small little steps.
It's funny you mention that because Christy got less steps than I did. And she's like, how's that possible? I went to work together. I'm like, I think smaller steps.
Yeah, for every 4 steps she takes, you take like 5 or 6. Yeah. Well, good for you, Brian. Yeah, also the clean air, and they don't put poison in their food over there. Everything's good food.
The fucking app that I have for weather has like an air quality index. And here in LA, a good day, like when it's good, is like 33.
And this is with all the improvements.
And the shitty days are like 100, you know what I mean? Like when it's really smoggy and hot. Over there, 2. 2 was the quality of the air. How do you know it went that low? I swear to God.
Is that good or bad?
The lower it gets is good.
Okay, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Oh, really? You would like a perfect 100 to be a good day?
Yeah, I mean like Rotten Tomatoes, right?
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
I guess that they're counting like the number of hazards in the
No,
air,
no,
the higher.
particulates.
They're counting the bad stuff.
That's right. It adds up.
All right.
I'd like to hear what the people have seen.
No, I don't like that because now it makes it sound like you want to hear what the people. I want to hear what the people. Now you just stole that from me.
How about this? We would like to hear.
Yeah. You know what? We would both like to hear what the people have seen. I would like to know more than Brian.
You might change your mind after the
I
first
think
one.
it's at 5149.
Fanfliction, compiled by Mitch Burns. Michael Wilson on Facebook. I've completely lost faith in Anderson's judgment on movies.
Oh, it took you this long? He's a new listener.
Poor Things was one of the worst movies my wife and I have ever seen.
It was challenging.
What was the point? It was like being in someone's nightmare.
What was the point?
Horrific.
How dare you? Why are you getting off scot-free here, Avery?
I don't know, but I like it.
Well, I'm here to reset you, Michael Wilson.
Legally
Reset your
Brunette.
expectation.
Legally Brunette on Twitter.
Wait, real quick. Before we get off that with the Poor Things. I don't know. We're going to discuss Poor Things at all today? Okay, never mind. We'll get back to it.
Legally
A
Brunette
robust discussion.
on Twitter. Anyone but you. It's a nonsensical plot, but the leads are so effing charming. Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell make the movie. Fun supporting cast and beautiful locales and people. Despite having a predictable ending, it felt fresh and romantic.
What did you put under your breath?
I said, and people.
Okay.
Hope they bang. Devin Miller, AZ on Instagram. Night Swim was meh. Not
Now,
bad.
is that Arizona or is that like all-encompassing A to Z?
Unclear.
Brian.
Night Swim was meh. Not bad, just kind of lacking in any real shock or horror because they wanted to keep it PG-13.
Great, glad we talked about it.
That sounds bad. The Beekeeper was surprisingly good. It suffers from the same problems as all one-man army movies do, where only one guy fights him at a time while the other guys wait with their guns. But aside...
That's really cool when they do that. I love that.
It's really cool.
It's a really good device
You
that they
think
use.
they'd learn by now?
I saw this trailer with Carano because Carano and I went and saw a movie together, and he leans in and he goes, unless he actually gets the bees to be a part of his attacks.
Yes.
I
Like they
hate this
get you,
movie.
like, form an arrow and they get
He's like, I hate this movie unless he's actually trained the bees to help him kill, then I'm in.
The only thing that looked palatable in that film is when he goes, honey is flammable. And he goes, no one knows that.
Yeah.
It's extremely flammable.
So
I
you
went,
walk
"Oh."
away from the trailer knowing that honey is flammable, so you don't have to go see the movie because
Yeah.
it's probably the most value you'll get out of it.
It was very
It's the
considerate of
crux
him.
of the plot right there.
Aside from that, it was really fun watching Statham kick the asses of various scumbags.
I can see that.
And lastly from Mitch, why is no one talking about Society of the Snow on Netflix?
Because we've already seen it. It's called Alive, and I've seen that story. I'm good.
What an insane movie and a
heard good
wild
things.
true story.
You know that's directed by? Do you know who that's directed by?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Do you know Society of the Snow? Do you realize who directed that film? I'm trying to rephrase.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the.
Okay. It's a fairly
the line of
straightforward
questioning.
Are you? Do you know the answer to the question? Who directed? Don't look it up.
No, I think I know. Wait, you're asking like who wrote it, or you
No.
want to know who actually directed
Who
it
helmed the film.
and wrote? Yeah, of course, Jay Bayona.
Good save.
Of course. I mean, who doesn't know?
And you know him from?
I know him from the Orphanage and
No.
The Impossible.
There it is.
The reality of the Impossible.
Dude, if the guy who did The Impossible
I need to
was
see The
doing
Orphanage
fucking
still, son of a bitch.
Snow Crash movie, I'm in.
You really made Brian work for that one. You knew the whole time.
I know. I had looked it
Really
up because I'm
roping up me.
like, people are talking about this, so of course I looked it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, The Impossible. I don't know if I'm ready to endure.
Isn't it? It's whatever country it is.
Argentine? Is it
There-
Argentine?
Perhaps whatever country it is. It's their official
Argentina.
entry for best foreign film.
Okay.
So maybe it'll be compulsory viewing.
Yeah, perhaps we will have to see. But we all saw Alive, which was neither here nor there.
I
but
never
it did.
saw that.
Okay, well, the best part about Alive for me, and I don't know if this is true to the story, and I hold this as one of those things that I harken back to all the time, is that the captain of the soccer team was the captain, and he was in charge until things actually mattered, and he showed his true colors, and he had no position.
Really?
No business being in that position when things actually matter. And I think that's how a lot of the world is. Like the people that we have to answer to in
Yeah.
our office,
They're not
in daily
equipped.
life, like they're not equipped for actual life. They're just equipped for the veneer that we all think of as life.
yeah.
And I really liked how that was demonstrated and illustrated.
Oh,
In,
fun. I wonder if
hopefully
that'll
the
be
same
in the-
element is in there for this one. But yeah, I should get more on the Bayona train because that Impossible was very, very well made.
It's one of those movies that not enough people saw.
We just had it on a top 5 list recently. I forget what the topic was, but I remember watching some of those scenes. And remember, we always go back to this,
I
too.
remember that too.
We had the same thing, same guilt about this one, which was in watching it and the hardships and the suffering that happened with that family. And it was all based on reality with the tsunamis and trying to find their family and
Oh,
their
we had
kids.
top 5 scenes of mass destruction back in late July.
Mass destruction, that's probably. And Naomi Watts is struggling just to survive. She's wading through waist deep water or looking for a child. She's all banged up. And her blouse comes to the side and you can see her boob for a second. And both Brian and I are like, oh no. We were like, oh, Naomi Watts boob. And we just feel so gross and guilty as men. But
It's depicting real human suffering.
we have no
on a
control.
catastrophic scale.
I did the same thing with Human Centipede. I'm like, oh, you can see her boob though. It's like, stop it. Stop being that part of your brain. You just can't.
I had the same thing with why do I keep forgetting the name of it? With, what's her face?
United 93.
Emma Stone. Poor things.
All throughout Poor Things,
Things.
yeah. Well, should we just let's talk about the newest ones.
I saw a movie that was streaming on Netflix.
Avery, what do you got there?
It's recommended by our Australian correspondent,
Mark Crimmins.
Mark Crimmins.
Hey, by the way, Mark Crimmins got us a very expensive 6 beers. Evidently, my wife pilfered the box
Where are they?
immediately, so I didn't get to unpack the box
For the
or
beers? She stole the beers?
Well, she stole the box because she had something to ship for Addie's Antiques. But she's like, that's a good looking box. I'm like, all right, I'll get to it. And 5 minutes later, my beers are in the fridge. Our beers are in the fridge. I'm like, was there? But through Mark tried to buy them for us and have them shipped to us, but his credit card, because he's in Australia, so he Venmo'd me the money, and then I bought the beers. So I know that these beers,
Where'd you get
it was $70 for a 6-pack.
Jesus.
So I will be bringing them
Where'd you get them?
in a week or two. Where'd I get them?
Yeah.
He shipped them to me. I don't know. I had to
I thought you said you got the money and bought them.
I bought them. I had to call a number up. And it was a whole thing. Speaking of arduous, I mean,
Where
Naomi
did you
Watts
get
had nothing on me trying to get these beers delivered to my house through Mark Crimmins. But it was $70 for the nicest Chimay.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, but I've never seen Chimay. I've never seen Chimay labels like this.
I have a, you know what? I'm
They're
on board
green
with
and
any
yellow.
gift, but I have a contentious relationship with Chimay.
Okay.
Don't like it generally.
They
But-
get chunks in them sometimes.
What?
They have chunks in them.
They are considered high end beers by beer drinkers.
Well, I mean, I see them, in places where I frequent to buy said alcohol, but I've never seen this label. So I think this is
I'm
a very
in.
high.
I'm down
I've not done
trying
any
them.
research. All I know is that they're in my fridge right now. We're doing a day show. I will bring them the next time we do a night show.
I
So
have,
thank you, Mark.
I have
Nice.
Chimay glasses.
Oh, why don't you bring some of those, and we'll all have a Chimay.
You're allowed to have a sip.
We'll have some Chimays.
Love it.
I haven't had a drink in like a week and a half.
What?
I haven't had time. It's either doing movies
Buddy,
or
you
real
gotta
estate.
make time.
Because I don't drink if I'm watching movies, and I don't drink if I'm working real estate stuff, and I've been so GD busy, I haven't had a chance to sit down and have a little wine.
No, dude, let's change that.
All right, let's hear what Avery saw. Sorry,
Let's get
guys.
you Irish coffee. Come on.
Recommended by
You got some?
Mark Crimmins.
I have coffee and I have that.
Oh yeah, Mark Crimmins. You know the thing that Mark Crimmins.
He heard that I was on a couple months ago. I was on a '70s movie kick, especially the ones involving car chases. He's been shooting me some recommendations. So I saw this one a month and a half ago, but it just came to Netflix on streaming. I had to dig high and low to find this thing.
Well, it's on Netflix.
Now it's widely
Oh, now
available.
it is.
Now it
I
is.
see.
As
Okay.
of a week
Isn't it the
ago.
worst?
Charley Varrick.
Oh, he's been after me as well with the old Walter Matthau
Quite good
over
with
there.
Walter Matthau.
Wow.
Starring Walter Matthau, a man, his wife, and their friends stage a bloody bank robbery without realizing they're stealing from the mob.
Oh, really?
Very, very enjoyable. Who doesn't like Walter Matthau?
Yeah.
Very excited to get my eyes on this film. Very enjoyable to see Walter Matthau is a very slick character. He's a slick, cool operator, which I feel like I haven't seen him in that position much.
Yeah, he's a bit
kind of a
schlubby.
curmudgeonly guy, or
Yeah.
he's schlubby. So it was cool
That's
to see
the
him.
persona.
Yes, it was very cool to see him.
Boilermaker, Buttermaker. Is it Boilermaker or Buttermaker? I mean, they call him both things in Bad
I think
News.
He holds his
Buttermaker-
own, but he's not smooth. He's not like
Buttermaker is the character. Fuck, now you got me doubting myself.
this. He's a very smooth operator in this.
Smooth.
Very enjoyable to see Matthau constantly have the upper hand on those chasing him.
Buttermaker.
Very enjoyable. I enjoyed it. Only an hour and 50 minutes now streaming. If it got, I would have given it an extra half star if it were not for there's at least two female characters whose behavior is inexplicable.
Okay.
You can only chalk up to just 70s bullshit.
Just some dude writing.
In what way?
Women would not behave this way.
Oh, they're just like fawning and throwing themselves?
Yes, in a way where you go, what?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
What? If that had been taken out, this would have been a solid. It's about 3.75 stars for me. 4 stars. Quite enjoyable. I liked it.
Just a shade under 4.
Did you watch Hopscotch with me, Brian?
No, I don't
With
think
Walter
so.
Matthau? Because he was, that might have been
believe
something I did for cinematics, but he was pretty smooth in that as well. But you're right. Like he plays schlubby more often than not.
So
He
it's
was
cool
able
to see him
pull off
playing
the-
against type. He plays it very well and very enjoyable, especially if you're looking for something from the 70s. And who doesn't love Matthau? Filling in those gaps for stuff you haven't seen. So Charley Varrick.
Yeah, Mark has been after me to watch Charley Varrick for some time, as well as
I think you'd love it.
Flesh for Frankenstein.
Flesh meeting.
Flesh for Frankenstein, 1973's Flesh for Frankenstein. He's all about me seeing that, and I promised him one day I will. I don't know what that day is, but one day I will. I'll watch that Flesh for Frankenstein. All right,
All right.
let's get to
We got movies to talk about.
movies that are in theaters now and that are worth talking about, and we'll let people know if it's worth their time.
Speaking of which,
Which I fail at doing sometimes.
Ooh, and there's also a car chase involving a plane, which is great.
Did we?
Great.
That sounds great. Did we warned people that Poor Things wasn't for everybody, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about how art house it was and how
recap
off-putting it
your
is.
discussion,
I
'cause
talked
was
about
out.
I talked about how in the first 30 minutes I almost walked out of the theater, and I
Yeah.
never feel that way.
And I would never suggest taking your wife to it, especially
Avery
if
did.
she's not like a cinephile.
Avery
Brian,
did.
especially if she's not a cinephile.
Every did. Told my wife she would love it.
Brian,
Love. Not like, not enjoy. Love.
I
love
did.
what?
Poor things.
Oh, you did that? I thought you
did.
did that with Bottoms, but not Poor Things.
I did that with Poor Things as well.
Avery. She's
No,
in the other room
Christy
watching the
would
Real
not love Poor
Housewives
Things.
in Beverly Hills.
Christy would not love Poor Things
She
at
enjoyed
all.
it.
She
Fucking
did.
insane.
She did enjoy.
Oh, so she saw it?
Yeah, she saw
We
it.
saw it yesterday. Should we just go right in?
She enjoyed it the
I
more.
want to do American Fiction, but all
as
right.
we were talking about it, she enjoyed it. She was enjoying it more.
Yeah, I mean, it
Avery
is-
won her over with this discussion.
she's being polite. She's being polite.
I don't think so. I think she liked it.
I queued you up there, Brian, to wedge in your Sinopolis or whatever again.
Cinepolis? Oh, cinephile. Cinemania.
But you did not take me up on
I'm
my
not a fucking
offer.
monkey, Anderson.
You kind of
Do
are. You
fucking
kind of are.
bidding.
You say the same thing over
That
and over
said,
again.
Cinemania. Solid rental.
All right, there we go.
Poor Things is a 2023 film directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, starring Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, Rami Youssef, and Willem Dafoe, amongst others. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is in theaters now. This
Seems a bit low.
won the Golden Globe for Best Picture, Comedy Musical, as well as Best Actress, Comedy or Musical. You guys, what was your... I realize that everyone listening probably heard last week's discussion. Briefly, what was your summation of Good Things? Poor Things.
Poor Things, Brian. I went in very concerned because I hated the trailer, and I was like, okay, this is Lanthimos trying to outdo himself on the odd scale because he always operates outside of reality, which
Indeed.
I can appreciate in movies such as Dogtooth to a lesser degree, but like Killing of a Sacred Deer is one that I was harking back to, and Lobster.
Even The Favorite is just, a very straight, a subject that can be played straight by many of the directors, which is strange in his hands.
And with all the fisheye lenses and the black and whiteness of it all, and the duck
We're
goose
talking
head
about
on the back to Poor Things, goose head on the dogs and whatnot, and Willem Dafoe's face, and Emma Stone acting like the fool that she was acting in the trailer, and even it seemed like he was having Mark Ruffalo do a Wes Anderson type thing with his little asides. And
It's funny you mentioned that because we'll get back to that.
So, like Avery, first 20 minutes, I was like, yeah, it's exactly what I thought.
Felt like
Here
he
we
was
go.
daring me to walk out, and I was strongly considering it. Were I not with...
You were going to take him up on his offer.
Yeah.
Now, I turned the corner a little bit earlier than Avery did, and I turned the corner a little earlier than I think a lot of people will, which normally I think most people, if they're going to turn a corner, it's going to be once Ruffalo races us
up.
with.
And I clocked it. He's about 30, 35 minutes in.
Because you saw it a second time.
Yeah.
And then throughout the movie, I was liking what I was seeing, but I was not levitating above my seat like I do with movies that I absolutely love. I was actually looking at my clock a couple times, not out of boredom, just wondering how much more story he was going to try and tell here. And I liked it quite a bit. I was pleasantly surprised. Walked out of the theater, and then later that day, the next day and the following day, the off-kilter, quirky score was stuck in my head a little bit, and the memories and the idea, and the more it sat with me, it's one of those movies, the more it sits with me, the more I like it to this day. Now, you've seen it a second
Jeez,
time.
when you have time, Emily. Thank you.
Like, he's just I like the movie without him. He definitely adds a whole star to it. Ruffalo. Yeah.
Ruffalo was the standout to me for the whole movie. So
Emma was fucking great as well, and Bella Baxter is like a name that I hope you can just say. I don't think this will be the case because the movie is so far out there. But I would love it, if 10 years from now you could be like, she's like Bella Baxter. You know what I mean?
And I think what Willem Dafoe is a little lost in this movie in terms of how great he is. I think he's a little underappreciated because seeing it a second time, he's great. And it's the first time you see it. I noticed specifically in my theater, a lot of people weren't picking up on just how much funny stuff he's saying. And what he's doing is played for laughs instead of pity or...
You miss comedy first time around in movies like this because there is so much going on. You're trying to keep up. I always
it's
go
very
back
Big
to
Lebowski,
Big Lebowski, which was not funny necessarily. I might have laughed twice the first time I saw it, and now I consider it my favorite comedy of all time. All right, so Brian.
I'm glad you said that because I wrote down here, first of all, I wrote down, what am I missing with this movie? I only saw it yesterday.
That's what our listener said.
And secondly, I wrote down, am I going to wake up someday and realize this is brilliant?
Yes.
Because this is a movie that,
Answer, yes.
as I'm watching it, I'm mostly annoyed. There's a few moments.
Off-put?
Yeah, off-put. Mostly
Off-kilter.
annoyed. And there's a few moments
When?
where I'm like, I would say probably from the first moment to the last. That said, there is some. I feel like I should talk about this in a week or in 2 weeks. It's saturated. Like I saw yesterday, and it's almost like being rubbed with sandpaper. It's like I feel raw. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I really.
It's like having a sunburn, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then you get the tan.
Yeah,
glorious
tan.
tan.
There's something here, but we're off because the sunburn is the bad part of the hanging out on the beach, which is the good part. This is it was on a cold, windy, uncomfortable beach, but then you get home and you think of the beauty and the grandeur, but you're not cold anymore because you're not enduring what's in front of you.
Almost like skiing or going to a snow lift or something. You're it's not pleasant at the time because you're freezing and your nose and lips hurt, but then you get back and you're like, that was really beautiful.
Yeah. And it's its own thing, and I like the idea and the memory of it. Now, on second viewing, was it even more enjoyable because you knew what you were getting into?
In some ways, yes, and in some ways, less so. I really enjoyed the mystery of not knowing where it was going. That really added to my experience of seeing it. But seeing it a second time, the first 30 minutes are still challenging, but they're more palatable knowing where it's going. I found Willem Dafoe even more engaging, and I left feeling even more strongly that Gerard Carmichael should be thrown in prison for what he did to this film.
Yeah, he did kind of leave a...
He was underwhelming.
He takes a full half star. This would have been a 5-star movie for me. If you
he was just miscast.
properly, he was miscast.
He might be great in a different role, maybe even a different role.
But his role's so pivotal.
Yeah, it is.
And that it's unacceptable that he just ruins that entire turn. That's essential for a character.
He was very blah.
And yeah, which in a role that you cannot afford to be blah.
So this
It's
falls...
interesting. I didn't really, until you talked about it with Christy off the air before the show started, I wasn't able to put my finger on it, but I was like, yeah, that was a really missed opportunity when he showed up and
He was in a different movie.
Offered kind of
completely. But listening the second time, listening to the dialogue, it's all there. The entire character arc is there. It's on the page. He just didn't bring any of that to the character of the screen.
I feel bad for actors like that because he's not like necessarily a bad actor. He's just miscast.
Yeah. And he's a stand-up.
Yeah.
Some stand-ups, like Rami Youssef is also a stand-up. He was great in this movie. Gerard is not.
He's just not. He wasn't what the doctor ordered for this one.
No.
However, that said, this falls into the Barbie Bottoms Poor Things. All three of them are
the Holy
very
Trinity.
similar in theme. They're all very different movies in their own right.
I did pick up a lot of subtle. Maybe it wasn't subtle, but for me, it was never once mentioned, but it was the theme throughout, especially in the second half. I guess the first half too. The sort of idea of like suppressing a woman's desire, repressing a woman's efforts or desire to get out in the world and experience things and
male control.
Yeah, exactly,
Male
a
control.
men-led world. But that was never expressly, I thought, addressed.
I mean, it's a fast forward, a quick look at the raw female experience put through the grinder of modern society, even though this is a period piece. It's from like 100 years ago. As far as sexuality goes and roles, it hasn't changed a whole lot. And I was thinking of you while I was watching this movie and other friends that have daughters. Like, this movie would have been even more uncomfortable, I think, if I had a daughter. Thinking like they're gonna go through a lot of the same paces and be looked at the same way. And I think seeing Emma Stone like we've never seen her before, buck naked and seeing everything, it wasn't gratuitous, where I feel like it is gratuitous in a lot of movies where you see these female stars that are very good actors and you've never seen them naked, and then all of a sudden they're just completely naked throughout. It's like, why? Just
it was done with effect and for comedy.
It was done for effect, somewhat comedy, and I think it was necessary to the story, but also just Emma Stone the way that she is. Like my buddy Rand said, it's like almost like seeing my sister naked, and that's how I felt too. It's like, I don't want to see Emma Stone naked. I love her so much, and I don't like to see her being objectified, but she took control, and she just thought of her body as
That's interesting.
Almost a separate thing.
I think of her as one of the most attractive yet least sexy people.
Yeah, like I don't. Yeah,
like she's so relatable. It's almost like you don't think of her.
She's not Margot Robbie and Barbie.
No, she's
think
ravishing.
The biggest issue I have with this one is that all three of the top line creators behind it, being the director and Yorgos, and then the two writers and Tony McNamara and Alasdair Gray. I'm sure I said that. Alasdair. I don't know. They're all dudes. And this is such a, now of course you need to bring the male.
It's developed from a book, right?
Yeah. Now you need the male perspective on this, obviously, because that controls and is her storyline. But I like to think that Emma probably brought a whole lot, and she was drawn to this part because of the plot and the story and the themes. So I like to think that she brought a lot to it as well.
Well,
but
the journey of the characters,
not enough to get a writer's credit here. And it's kind of like going back to that movie Elle from a few years ago, and it was a what's his name? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Paul Verhoeven movie, and it was all about a woman's an older woman dealing with rape that she had dealt with and how she processed that. And it's like, this is a great movie. I want to love it, but I don't know how honest it is because it's coming from Paul Verhoeven.
Oh, the L you're talking about.
Yeah.
Although like this one feels more fantastical, I guess. But we digress.
But it's all about the female experience, though, and I think it's more honest, way more honest in a lot of ways than both Bottoms and Barbie, even though it's more fantastical.
Interesting. I hadn't considered that until just a second. I will say, now, not fair to the movie at all, but my own personal experience, I was kind of for like 24 hours before, Christy was like, "Oh, I want to go with you. I want to see this movie." Avery
You saw it in theater.
Avery said I would love it. And I'm like, I have to warn you, this director makes weird movies, and they're often inaccessible. In fact, even the ones I like of his the best are uneven. Like there are certain parts I just don't care for, and there are certain parts that are awesome. So just know what you're getting into. And she was all about it. And so I think I had a little bit of trepidation going into the movie.
Yeah, you felt responsible.
This is one of the 3 movies a year when Christy will come to the theater to see with me.
Yeah.
The other being Barbie, and
I do still think this was worth her seeing, though.
in a sense,
it is the the biggest art house movie, with the exception of maybe Oppenheimer, to come out this year by far.
Really?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Like, what other art house movie has been pushed this hard this year?
Okay, if you're talking about bordering on mainstream, I would say Beau is Afraid, for example. Is more,
I don't know if that had the wide range.
Yeah,
and as many.
This was bigger. Yeah,
this is much more, and it's because it's award baits. But like when I walked out of this movie, some of the guys that worked in the theater that worked for AMC were like hanging out in the hallway because it was a late night screening. And I remember I heard one of them saying, "What is that Poor Things?" And the other dude said, "It's like the most art house movie you can imagine." And I'm like, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. But I mean, don't let that scare you away.
No, like the theater I saw it in yesterday was completely packed, and it was half women.
I wonder if they're responding to it. How did Christy respond to it ultimately?
Similar to me.
Because I'm thinking about our listener who took his wife and is irate.
I don't think she enjoyed it in the moment, but in talking about it afterwards, probably found it more enjoyable.
And she seemed like she was enjoying it, talking about it now, where she was sort of coming around.
Polite lady.
Polite.
Christy hates me.
That's the subtext.
And it's streaming now on Prime, right?
Is it?
I think so. I think it's streaming somewhere. I think
that's
I'm pretty
Saltburn.
sure I heard that. Oh, maybe it's Saltburn.
Saltburn streaming on.
Which I came up with a fix for Saltburn, how it could be one of my favorite movies ever. I think.
The filmmakers are dying to know.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that like when I remake Saltburn in a few years.
I will say the third act was even funnier on the second on the rewatch because you know where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
The final her final interaction with a man.
Mm-hmm.
That was much more.
Are you talking about the very end?
The last 15, 20 minutes. That was.
I like about the last 15 minutes.
No, that was the
climax.
Overtly enjoyable.
Yeah.
Once you know where it goes,
right.
You're able to enjoy his performance more, and how over the top he's being with what he's doing is very darkly funny.
Maybe I'll pick. So it's exclusively in cinemas.
Okay, so I was thinking of Saltburn, which is also over the top art house where it doesn't necessarily need to be. I think ultimately,
because I think Poor Things is for more people than Saltburn is.
Probably, yeah. With as far as the story goes, and I don't know, they're both so inaccessible in their own way. You know, I would never dream of having Jillian watch either one of these.
But there's a lot more to hang your hat on with Poor Things.
Yeah,
in terms of the humor and what's going on with the movie.
The humor is pretty goddamn dark, though. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a quick break.
It is not broad humor.
And talk about something way more broad.
It's very dark and obscure.
Come back and talk about American Fiction.
Yes, after this. Hey, welcome back. Time to talk about, I assume, American Fiction.
American Fiction.
Now, did I do a full confession on this the last episode?
No, we didn't let you.
I don't think you talked about it at all.
A little illusion.
And I was planning on talking about it.
Yeah, no, we totally punted it because Anderson wanted to see it.
Shit.
I was talking about, I was kind of waiting for it to get a little bit more wide before we talked about it. I didn't want to get too ahead of it. And I thought I would be talking about it with Avery, but I could hear it in your voice that you really wanted to talk about it with me. And I'm glad that I waited. So
yes,
we had enough to talk about because we talked Ferrari too. I don't know if you're going to be talking Ferrari.
I've heard it's underwhelming.
It was my number one most anticipated. Foolish me.
Ferrari was?
Yeah. I know. I was surprised as well when I went back and looked. I know.
That's foolish.
American Fiction was, I think, my 6th most anticipated of my 10 most anticipated fall winter movies.
Yes, this is one of the ones where I lost my notes.
Oh, poor Bri.
I know.
Didn't you say you were going to redo them?
Oh, that's why you didn't do your mini. Yeah.
Damn it.
Okay. So
right, we can make this work. You want me to try and do this, or is your profession?
We waited for you.
Son
weeks
of a bitch.
and weeks and weeks we've waited for you.
American Fiction is a 2023 film written and directed by Cord Jefferson. Let me click on Cord's link. Is this a debut?
It is. He's a TV writer primarily, most notably The Good Place, which is a amazing network television show. Wow, what a great show that is. And you could tell that they had a bank of very, very clever, smart writers on The Good Place. And I was hoping he would be one of those writers when I got excited about this one. Turns out he was one of those writers. Right. Because if this thing's going to be up for anything, it's going to be best writing.
Starring Jeffrey Wright as Thelonious Ellison, a.k.a. Monk. They call him Monk throughout the film. Tracy Ellis Ross. Issa Rae. Am I pronouncing Issa Rae correctly? Issa Rae. Sterling K. Brown, who Avery and I had a discussion off the air. It's on the air, right? The new trailer?
Yeah.
The new trailer?
Yeah, we talked about that.
Features Sterling K. Brown much more prominently, which is great because he was a really solid part of the movie. What is this? I got to imagine it's around 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yep. 92% Rotten Tomatoes. This is in theaters now. Unaware if this is streaming or not.
I don't believe it is.
No,
it's very, very limited. They're going off, hoping for word of mouth, and then they're going to expand it as we get closer to
I think they're going to get
to the awards.
I got to be honest with you guys. I can see a world where this is up for Best Picture.
Really?
Well, if they nominate 10 films. Absolutely.
I can, especially with the Oscars so white, for sure. With them still being, but honestly, with them still being gun shy about that.
Yeah. I haven't taken a look at the playing field to see what other black films might give it a run for its money, but you
black
could be
films,
right.
Anderson?
Yeah.
I should say this is exclusively in theaters at the moment. Why don't you guys give us a rundown of the plot?
All right, so the plot is this. There's a Thelonious Monk is a...
his name is Thelonious, and his nickname is Monk.
We'll just call him Monk. He's...
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. Oh, great opening
scene.
Thelonious. Jesus, how many names can we go with? He's a professor.
Indeed.
At a good school, and he's dealing with the young generation, and he's pushing the boundaries with things that offend them. It starts off the bat strong, where he has the N-word on the board behind him. I think that he's calling himself that. He's got quotes around it.
I think he's talking about...
I think he's just talking about the book, and then...
Yeah, the use of it in, like, Civil War era literature.
I thought that he had his title. It was like his title... Perhaps.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I just know
that like Mr. or something or other.
And then the student goes, I think she's
the most annoying
Asian girl. And she goes,
no, she's not Asian. No.
I thought she was.
No.
That's one girl.
Wait, whatever.
I've seen 2 scenes like this in the last couple of weeks. The other one being from The Curse, where that woman is very upset in the comedy class.
Yes.
And gets him kicked out. Yes.
But she goes, yeah, that word just makes me uncomfortable. She says this.
And she's as white as, yeah, she's not a minority. They made sure that they had a white Karen, a future Karen in there in that part, suggesting that how dare this black man use the N-word in front of me because it makes me uncomfortable as a white woman.
His line of, I got over it, so can you.
Yeah. So that gives us a little peek into this guy's character and what he's about, and
we come to find out pretty quickly. He wrote a book. It was a bit of a hit, but he's written a
number of books, but he's never seen success. He's never had
He
success.
wrote a few books.
They're pretty inaccessible. They're dense, high literature.
He doesn't write broad.
They're not for the mainstream,
and he doesn't write black either, which it's bothering him that seems like that's the only thing that white people want to read from black people is the black experience. So
as we discussed with the 40-year-old version, what do they call
a lot of parallels there. Yeah, they call it poverty porn.
Poverty porn.
Yeah. So through a series, just a real simple recap or explaining of the theme here. What not just the theme but the plot is that he decides as a larf because he's getting rejected for his good book that he has a lot of pride in.
This is an important plot point. He is tormented by the overwhelming success of a contemporary writer, Issa Rae, who does write poverty porn and does at one point there's a reading, to a large
stumbles
lecture
into.
hall. Yeah, and she's reading like in what we say is Ebonics, but in a certain dialect, and it's very ham-handed, and yet the audience, mostly white audience, goes banana.
Yeah, they love it. They love it. And he kind of gets an idea, like as a larf, to write a they'll have you believe an entire fucking book. Like he opened some scotch and he just wrote.
I'm sure if you're that good, you could slop out
one night.
This,
maybe 1-2 nights.
He's also put on administrative leave, so he has time.
Yeah.
He's
he has
back
a little time
home.
on his hand, idle hands.
Yes, time passes. It would take a couple of days if you're even a prolific writer.
And one of my favorite directions in the movie was when he was writing this up and he had the actual characters
that
were
was my
in the
favorite
room.
scene, I think.
They were in the room with him and they were like talking to him. One of them was Keith David, and he was talking directly
You're
to
going to pull
Monk.
the trigger on
What am I
me.
going to do next?
That was a really clever, fun scene. And he writes it, and he gives it to his publisher. And as you can imagine, one thing leads to another, and by everyone's surprise, it becomes the most sought after thing that he's written. That's the.
You know what? You're right. Sorry to interrupt you. You're 100% right. We are neglecting a very compelling B story.
Well, that's all
the problem
that's shown
with
in
this
the
movie.
trailer is
the
that
problem?
I think so.
I think most of it that they don't show in the trailer is it's very dramatic.
It's not the movie you think you're going into
At all.
I thought that was going to be the entire story,
entire
and
thing.
that's the B story, if anything. The A story is much more. It's
at least 50-50.
It's got one foot in the story of what it's like to be a black writer today, and what you got to do, and how you got to placate and write things you don't even believe in, and all that bullshit that comes with, especially pop culture. And then the other side is a very, very dramatic look at his family life, and
There's several levels of grief.
it was two different movies,
and just what it's like growing older, right? Where you have a parent who's struggling, or loss of people in your family,
right? And I know what it was doing. It was showing what his actual life was compelling enough to be made into a story that people should respond to, but
Which
no
is
one
what he
cares
draws
about that
from,
black
yes.
experience. They want to read the street experience and the one that Chris Sizzle and Pops.
You're right. Then there was the irony of what the populace, you and I, everyone, don't associate with the black experience, which is they had a beachfront cottage and they were a successful family, and the brother was a doctor,
And they were all like
the brother was a
engineers, I
lawyer,
think.
and the sister was a doctor. You know what I mean?
And what it's saying is that no one cares about that experience from a black voice. They just want to hear what is racially thought of in a racist way of the black experience, which is guns and street life.
Can I drill down for a second? Just I want to talk to you about what you said, which is you alluded to it being the problem with the movie, the other side of the story. I thought it was really artfully done. Like it was weaved together really well. Like you got that. It doesn't matter if it's the A story or the B story. You got the one story of him as the writer and the social satire of that, but then you got the very human pathos of like he's grieving on multiple levels. The brother is no longer the brother he thought he knew.
Right.
The mom is degenerating
It's all
in his
there.
eyes. The sister, what happens to her is what happens to her. So
and the dead dad is different than he
yeah,
thought he was.
exactly. So I thought that was really artfully done.
And
I really enjoyed it.
I think on the page it was, and I think what I'm complaining more about than anything else is the direction. I did not like how the tone was managed. I don't like how it was swinging from one end, because I'd want more of this story, and then they give me more of this one. I hated the score throughout. It was so soft. It did not feel like the movie it should have been. I feel like it's one of those rare examples where it's not that rare, but where the script was so much better than the movie, than the execution. That's the way I feel, because I could see
I thought it was
movie in
very
there.
effective too.
I could see a great movie in
I
there.
think part of it though, because I was pleasantly surprised by it and that there was more to it. So I'm more in line with Brian, but I also, based on the trailer, I was going into it wanting an out and out comedy. I wanted most of it to just be this guy writing this
And it feels like it's either like each scene is either
black
one
film.
or the other. It goes from a comedic scene to a dramatic scene,
I
to a
agree.
comedic scene to a dramatic scene. And that, for me, was too... I was frustrated throughout
That's
the whole thing. I'm like,
interesting.
let's just be funny or let's just be dramatic or be both at the same time. But it was one or the other.
I had the same observation, but in reverse, which is I really appreciated the salty and the sweet. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it vacillated between this
But
social
it was scene to
satire.
scene, I think, is my problem. They didn't blend in the same scene.
Yeah,
And
maybe
I
you're
should-
right. For me, it worked.
Yeah,
Yeah, it worked for me as well.
I'm glad. I'm happy that because I hope this movie does well. I just wish that I liked it more.
If
I'm
anything, and
excited.
maybe just spoiler on this, maybe not. It's almost not worth doing. The very end, how the movie ended, was problematic. For
Abrupt.
Me.
Really, I was impressed by its. I was trying to think of what a satisfying ending would be.
I don't
and how
think
they're
they
gonna
knew
land
what
the plane.
satisfying
And it worked well enough for me because they fake you out a couple times with the ending.
In as much as the movie almost pinned itself into a corner where there was no satisfying ending to be had, this was, I guess, the best of all worlds.
They could do,
It felt like a compromise.
It felt like
they couldn't figure it out, and they're like, all right, this is the best we can do, which is kind of meta for what we saw, right? Brody, Adrian Brody. He fucking
Adam
crushed.
Brody?
Adam Brody. Yeah, Adam Brody.
Who was he?
He was the producer.
Oh,
yeah. And Jeffrey Wright was fucking great.
Jeffrey Wright was fantastic.
Other than I don't think I've liked him as much since I first saw him, which was Basquiat all those years ago. He was great as Basquiat.
He's excellent in this.
In the
Is
Julian
there a world
Schnabel
where
movie.
he's not up for Best Actor? Because he movie lives and dies on performance for me.
Yeah, I think he's up.
He's great.
What movie? Oh, yeah, it was Ferrari. Penelope Cruz is great in Ferrari. Says me, not
She was
great.
Lost on me.
Not great in Ferrari.
But I'm the
says
odd man
Avery.
out, apparently.
Yeah, I would love to see Jeffrey up for. He was great. I wanted more of him.
You wanted a little more chewing the scenery.
I want a little more of him chewing the scenery, and you could tell like he starts to do it, and then they rein it back in. The movie just felt very Hallmark.
Really?
Yeah. The music. I think a lot of it was the
disagree.
score. I think the score really.
That part I can't quibble with. I don't remember, honestly.
You don't remember the
I don't
score?
either.
Good. It didn't. It was distractingly bad.
I do remember thinking, though, having the thought of like, let him run. Because they
Yeah.
would start to have him do it, and you go,
Yeah.
Rein him in, and they bring it back to a
him.
family drama, which is okay if he's running it. But a lot of the time he was.
But I wanted to at least get him on a little bit more of a roll, or throw me a couple scenes back to back of him getting into this
You know what?
juxtaposition
The
of who he is and
juiciest-
who they want him to be.
The juiciest parts and lines and scenes was Sterling K. Brown.
He was
I really
fantastic.
enjoyed
He was really, really fun. And like, okay, fairness, and I am misspeaking because he was very funny in some of the family drama stuff. Right?
I'm not
Very
flying the
funny.
fucking plane, monk.
Yeah. I
Oh my
understand.
god, second love right now.
You don't have the same movie. The movie's lost if it's one or the other, and that's the whole point of the
What do you
movie is showing that like he does have this rich life that is worth watching and following along. It just seemed like two movies in one, to the extent that neither one, they both each from one scene to the next felt like two different movies.
It's almost it almost suffers from how good the trailer is,
Trailer's great.
because
And
you're expecting
the
that
script
pop
is great.
the whole
script
time.
is
Yeah,
great. And there is a way where you could meld the two, and the tone could be managed in a different way. And look, he's a first-time director, and I think that if you were to make this 10 years from now, it would be a movie that I absolutely fucking love. I like this movie a lot. It just felt like it wasn't like if Alexander Payne had made this or something, right?
Yeah.
Imagine, you know,
No, there's a.
it needed like a
it's funny.
montage in there
I
or
feel
something
like-
at one point or
I
another.
feel like
Didn't
this
get it.
material is stronger than
The love interest
holdovers-
stuff was all very,
the
very
holdovers,
soft.
but the holdovers was executed better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and this guy's a great writer. He's a really, really good writer,
Yeah.
and I don't see a world where this isn't up for best. But if this is up for best direction, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
No.
And just get me out of here.
That
But
never.
I could see it being up for best screenplay,
Sure.
screenplay and Jeffrey Wright being up.
and maybe a best picture. Like you guys are
I can see
suggesting.
it.
I don't
If
know.
Sterling K. Brown's up for best supporting actor, I think that's a victory. He was so memorable and so good.
I love how all these like well-doing liberals are kind of getting their comeuppance a little bit in some of
Yeah.
these movies, like these outspoken fucking people who like think that they have all the answers and going to tell other people like how to live their life.
Well,
It's
this
like,
is a
just be
running
good
theme
fucking
ever
person.
since the fucking what's her face Tar and Dream Scenario all kind of have the same setup, right, for scenes, which is the student and the
Skewering
teacher.
white academia.
Yeah, it's skewering the Gen Zs and millennials to a lesser extent because they're a little bit older now, but like who are just like, this is how things should be. Right. You're all wrong, and I'm the only sensitive person in the room. When you're really doing it just to look good, you fucking. It's pretty obvious to a lot of people
Or your
who have any empathy
perception
at
of
all.
somebody else is a stereotype. You
The
just don't
total
realize
stereotype.
that.
It's just the stereotype in your own. Yeah, exactly. I cringe so
Of
many
that, like,
times.
oh yeah, you're black, so you must need help. You must need me to save you.
The best line in the whole movie, and kind of sums the whole thing up, is when the white judge lady, she just shuts down the two black judges.
Yes.
And she goes, I think you're wrong because it's really important that we hear the black voice right now. Right?
Yes.
It's
I
really
thought that was
important to
a
hear
little
black
on the
voices.
nose.
It
That was the one
encapsulated
joke that
entire.
felt like it reached too far for
I
me.
could see it, but it felt honest. Like I could see her
Yeah.
being so caught up in her own shit right there that she would say that. Not
It's a
even
good
realize
line.
it.
Well, I'm quibbling. It's a good moment.
They could have let it linger a little bit, and she caught herself and apologized or something, but they didn't. They just cut right out of it.
No, yeah, there's a moment.
That's
where
just the whole movie. That's the
there's
whole
the
fucking
4 judges deciding book of the year or whatever.
5 of them, and 2 of them are black.
Oh, is it 5?
Oh, that guy that chose the panel, though, the judges, he was the best. I wanted more from his lines. Were some of the best lines I've heard all
The
year.
panel was great. I enjoyed that whole process.
This whole movie is great. It's just maybe it's just a personal taste thing with me. I did not like the transitions.
I think the trailer threw you. I think you really went in thinking one thing, like a lot of people are going to.
It didn't have any pop and zip, and a movie like
It
this
didn't have pop and zip.
That did with the dialogue, but not with the actual style of the movie. And I'm not talking.
Yeah.
I'm not asking like for
I
overly
understand.
stylized, but just give me.
It did not have much style in terms
No,
of that. Yeah,
it
could've
felt
used-
TV.
And I think
I
some of the
agree
most
with that.
style was when he was writing. That's why I think it's my favorite scene is when he's doing the writing and the characters are
in the
acting it out.
room, yeah.
That was very inventive and engaging. I loved that. I could have watched 15 minutes of him writing that and going back and forth with his characters. That was really, really good.
It's a solid movie, you guys. Either way you slice it.
No, yeah, it's really, really
Even
good.
Anderson hating on it. It's a slice.
This was 4 stars for me.
It's
I
one of those
really enjoyed it.
frustrating movies. Yeah, it's a 4-star, but I see a 5-star movie right in front of me. And it's not one of those movies where like I would have liked it more if it was a little bit better. It's not that either. It's just decisions that were made don't line up with my.
I think it would have been interesting to see Jordan Peele take a swing at this and not do something that's horror based and do something that's more out and out comedy.
I think Jordan Peele would have. He would have given it some kind of M. Night treatment or something, you know. I would love to see Jordan Peele do something like this, but I don't know if it feels like he's in a wheelhouse that he expects. He thinks other people expect of him, and he has to deliver that, and that it sucks.
Jordan Peele catches some strays. In this
But I think he
episode.
could have brought out some of that pop you're talking about, or that interesting filmmaking.
Yeah.
To it.
Hey, you guys. I'm not flip-testing this week. In fact, it might be next week or the week after. Who knows? I'm simply going to put it on your radar because it is high on the fun scale. It is almost off the fun charts, and it has it is a more fun Jordan Peele since Get Out. There's a fun version of Us. There's a fun version of Get Out. I finally caught up with the movie I seen a trailer for that I was like, oh, I'll put that on my radar. Just forgot about it. Polite Society. Very fun. You see it?
I sat across from you in Flickfestus
You did?
5 months ago and did not
it
have
come
the
out
same reaction that you. I'm glad you like it because
I
people are liking
enjoyed.
this
I
movie.
enjoyed.
Yeah, Polite
Wait, you
Society.
talked about this?
Oh yeah,
Tuned out.
months ago.
Sorry, buddy.
It's all right.
I'll be talking about that soon.
I like parts of it, but
I like quite a bit.
okay, good.
Quite a bit.
Good.
Enjoyable.
Okay, good.
High in the fun scale.
It's on the radar.
High
Again.
in the fun scale.
All right, cool.
We're an hour into this episode. We haven't talked-
Cord Jefferson is a very, very intelligent, smart writer, and
Oh,
maybe a
articulate.
great director
Hey,
one day.
you
But it's
hear
just
that?
for
I heard
my.
that.
What's that?
He basically said articulate.
What do you mean? I'm saying that I love his
He's well
writing
spoken.
style. I feel like the direction here just left me wanting to. That's all. I said that over and I just don't want Cord Jefferson's writing to get lost in all of this because it fucking ruled.
We're an hour into this episode. We've yet to discuss a film was assigned to us.
Yeah, we got a couple, and we're gonna do that right after the break. Right, I've got a button hook here. When
Another
we come
break?
back,
Another break?
we're gonna talk about another 2023 movie that you don't hear many people
God.
talking about, but you're gonna hear us talk about it. And that's a movie that what's the
Is it up for?
Rotten-
Is it a 2023 film? Because it came
Yeah.
out in December of last year in France.
Yeah, I think that it's eligible this year.
Okay.
What's the Rotten Tomato score on The Worst Things, Brian?
I'll give you a hint. It has 3 digits.
It does have 3.
100%.
We'll be back in a minute talking about the worst ones.
Hey, we're back. Let's talk about the aforementioned, ironically titled "The Worst Ones."
Why is it ironically?
It's just not worst. It's actually
It's not the worst one movie. It's the worst ones.
right.
It's talking about the characters and the titular characters.
It's one of the better ones who've been assigned. The Worst Ones, a 2023 question mark film.
No, it came out in March 2023, the U.S.
Directed by the combination of Lisa Akoka and Romain Gueret. 100% Rotten Tomatoes, 9 out of 9 positive reviews. This is a
only got 9 Rotten Tomato people to
I'm
critics.
surprised, actually.
That's a travesty. Groupers had 9, and that was with a very small little PR company because we didn't have a whole lot of money behind it.
Feels like there should be more on both. Speaking of which, French film, The Worst Ones, starring, I assume, a bunch of non-actors
Yes.
or at the very least undiscovered actors. This is a film within a film about a production that is starring a bunch of, like I said, non-actors. The worst ones being the sort of kids they recruit for this film. They're making a film set in a certain part of France, and they want locals. They want rough around the edges kids.
It's in a town called a little small spot called Picasso Town or whatever, and it's a bit of a slum. And
Indeed.
They are doing street casting for this, and they're going around, and it opens up. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It opens up with them, interviewing kids on
interviewed
camera
for
to be
the-
in the film.
for the roles.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's
And you get the idea quickly that, at least in the context of the movie, these aren't actors.
And to give you an idea of what this movie is like, it is from Nick Eats Cake. It's the 4th movie that he has assigned us, and he has
thank you for
also assigned us
acknowledging that.
Beanpole, if you recall Beanpole.
That was fun.
Most recently, Dogs Don't Wear Pants, and I think the best one, as far as you and I enjoyability goes, from Nick Eats Cake, is Baby Teeth. You and I both like that Baby Teeth
Which
quite a
one was
bit.
that?
That was the one where the girl was terminally ill, and she
Oh,
was
in
young,
Australia.
and she had a very questionable older boyfriend, and
Australia,
it was like
yes.
a Make-A-Wish
Yes,
situation
yes.
with the great parents having to contend with that. What a great movie Baby
That's
Teeth
fun.
was. The other two are very good in their own right as well, but they're all challenging in their own ways, and I would absolutely say that for the worst one. So, as Brian set up, it's all about this street casting that this director, this 54-year-old man, comes into the small town. He has no ties to the town, but they're going to be doing a production in this small little town, and they want it to be authentic. So you can't help but think of Larry Clark and Kids
Right.
to an extent, and the other movies that Larry Clark has made, which he goes for that reality, that cinema. It seems like it's documentaries, docu-style.
Yeah, it seems very authentic to the characters. Like, you get the idea that these are characters who lived a life or living a life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And then the question that comes up in this movie is what street casting actually does to non-actors, especially kids, who are put in this position all of a sudden overnight to be thrust onto a movie set with cameras in their faces, how the rest of the town reacts to that. Also, if it's a good or bad idea to be taking a town that might be a little bit down on its luck and have some scars and pockmarks and just shining a light on that part rather than the
It's
good
its own
stuff,
poverty porn.
which is poverty porn in a different sense. This is the French version of this type of poverty porn, and we see both sides of those things. There's no hammers hitting us over the head with any of it. It's almost all gray area, which
So
I
a lot
could
of fly
have
in the
used.
wall. A lot of fly in the
A
wall.
lot of fly on the wall, but not in the
Observational.
boring.
No, an
like,
observational style.
the performances of these kids, of everyone in the movie, is fantastic.
Yeah, they're great.
And you get immersed in the story, in their lives, what's going on, and you see, for better or for worse, how this does affect them, and the struggles of coming of age in some areas, and the little boy who doesn't even have a picture on IMDb. He's like 10 years
Ryan.
old. Ryan, he's fucking great. Like,
Yeah.
So this comes from this director team.
He's like the anti-Macaulay Culkin.
He is like that. Like, he deserves to be on screen more. Like, I would like to see more of that kid if he can endure it, if this is something he wants. So this comes from them trying to make a short. The director tandem years ago. This is off of what Nick was. Nick absolutely is head over heels for this movie, and it doesn't shock me. This is a very, very good movie.
For cinephiles.
It's for cinephiles. This movie's not for everybody, and I think you'll see on the audience score is like 50% or something.
Right.
But 100% of all 9 of the critics who saw it, this is a movie that a critic darling.
It's not spoon-fed to you anyway.
There's no spoon feeding, and it does drag a little bit. It reminds me a little bit of a movie with Fassbender that I covered years ago called Fish Tank, if you remember that one.
Vaguely.
But ultimately, I would have liked a little more spoon feeding, which is rare for me to say. But I wanted to either really feel something for that director.
Right.
Give me a sense of, is he evil? Like, what's his deal here? Is
Was
he
he exploiting the
self-serving?
kids,
Is he
or was he
exploiting?
like totally on board?
There's definitely a level of exploitation, which we see early
I think-
on.
For what it's worth, maybe this is not a very American approach to the storytelling. I feel like the director had good intentions, but it was played out. At the end of the day, he's a film.
You're talking about the director in the movie.
Yeah, the director in the context of the film we see on screen, the director character had good intentions for the kids, like noble intentions, but at the end of the day, he's trying to make his movie,
right?
And thus, whatever needs to happen to make that happen.
And why is he making that movie though? And we do see scenes that are absurd and very like art house that he's got in his movie, which is
the pigeons.
Definitely a satirical look at French art house
Right,
movies.
right.
I think with like a
And he's Belgian.
Little boy is pregnant, and there's pigeons. It was comical.
There was some fantastical elements.
And you get the sense that he's putting his own ambitions ahead of the wellness of the kids, but not to an extent where you're like, "Fuck this guy! I want him arrested."
He's not an animal.
He's not a predator.
He's just a film director who's obsessed with making whatever he deems to be the message.
Exactly, and for better or for worse. But we're never really like led to. And I'm sure some people have different. And that's the beauty of movies like this. Some people will sit down, they'll recognize something in that guy that I'm not responding to, and they'll absolutely hate him and think he's like one of the most despicable people they've ever seen. There's other people that will think that he's doing nothing wrong, and like, what do you mean? Even with the sex scene, which they easily could have put him on one side or the other with that, and they kept him right in the middle on that too. Like, you can't decide because he was being tasteful, yet he was probably put in a position that they shouldn't be in. I don't even know if these kids were of age, but with Europe, they have different standards and all that stuff, but. That wasn't the point of that scene anyways. It was to show how real those kids are once they're put in a situation that's fake, which is very ironic and interesting as well, because when they're in everyday real life, she seemed shy and inexperienced, and the boy was like all fronting
bravado,
and then they have to share a sex scene with very few people in the room, and he's incredibly uncomfortable, and she's like, whatever, this is not a big deal, this is just acting.
And credit to the director character, he's like, too many people, I'll get these people out of here.
They do that. They clear sets all the time. Which is good, but he didn't clear the set enough because it got really uncomfortable when the boy, who was uncomfortable already, lashed out at one of the crew members. Ugh, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. But I guess that this story came out of this director tandem working on a short, and they were street casting, and they were looking for actual kids, and then it kind of led them to this idea of like, what would it mean if this is further explored and developed, like what does this do to kids who are, but then they did it again to make this movie, ironically, but I guess that in interviews they have gone above and beyond to say, look, it was as safe as it could possibly be. It wasn't like the conditions in the movie that you just saw, where another example in this movie, Brian, you remember the fight scene where the little boy Ryan, who's probably 9, he's supposed to be fighting with some kids on a playground in a scene that they're shooting.
Because there's more than one fight scene.
He's laughing and whatnot, so the director goes in and tells the bullies to like actually call his mom a whore because he already knows that the little kid does not like that, and it becomes a real fight, and the director doesn't yell cut. And I'm thinking like, yeah, he's a piece of shit, but at the same time, maybe he believes that the movie will do more good, and it's worth a couple, like punches to the head for this little cat. You don't know. It's hard.
Yeah, the movie, to its credit, does a good job of keeping it ambiguous, or at the very least, I found myself equally considering both sides, where I was like, yeah, that sucks, but at the same time...
And are we being callous for that? Because I almost feel guilty. Like,
Yeah, are we too into film?
Yeah. Like, I understand, especially if the film were to hit and, change hearts and minds. Yeah, it's worth a kid getting a little bit roughed up. He's probably going to get in a fight anyways, like the next day, because that's his life. But is that... It almost goes to, like, the Minority Report. Like, do we really want to, like, shut it down because...
Of one.
Yeah, when it could do so much good. But who's to say the movie will even hit, especially when you got the art bullshit going with the pregnant fucking scene with the pigeons.
That's true. Yeah, interesting movie. I was going to say something. I forgot.
And it feels like there was more there that could have been explored and needed to be explored for my own obtuse nature, perhaps. But like the little girl who was obviously a lesbian, right? Like, what was the point of that storyline? Shaved head. You see that she likes the director's assistant or the show the coordinator, because so we know that she's young, she's lesbian, she's trying to find herself, and then at one point she makes a decision as to be a part or not be a part of the movie, but it's never really explained as to why, other than
felt like a weaker side story. You know what I mean, like a subplot.
But give me a little bit of reason as to why.
Right. I'm glad the movie, I'll just simply say there's a plot line that resolved itself at the end that I'm glad it went the way it did. Had it gone a different direction, I would have felt ickier, I guess.
Is this an icky movie, though? It's got a raw nature
Certainly
to
could
it.
be.
And I feel like it could have easily been with a couple just slight adjustments, but they never did that, which I appreciate. I wasn't in the mood for icky. I'm rarely in the mood for icky, especially when it's with kids.
Right.
And I think it was much more honest than we're kind of used to seeing.
I did like the aspect of how, and we've sort of alluded to it, how the kids start off as just school kids who are recruited to be, in this film, and by the end they're like actors. You know what I mean?
We
They're
see
like,
the evolution and
they're kind of expecting things on set.
So, and it's hard to talk about, and we're giving away all sorts of plot points, but that's not what this really drives this movie. It's slice of life stuff. It's fly on the wall, but not in the dull sense. Let's be clear about that. This movie,
it's not Leviathan.
no, and it's not like the most, the tempo is not like on and popping, but it's also not going to put you to sleep by any means because of the great characters and the great performances. But in the lead girl who is great, like we hear about her past. She had a sick brother. I'll leave it at that. A little brother who really affected her. His illness really affected her, and she was making, which is very honest, she was making some horrible decisions and doing some impulsive things the year of his illness. And now she's on this path where she's thrust into this movie role. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Like, right?
Yeah.
And they could have easily showed one a good or a bad, but they just kind of leave it. It is what it is.
She's very upfront about it, right? Where she was like, "Yeah, that's how I coped with whatever."
Yeah, she just talks openly about her acting out. And then this is the first movie that she was in, and art imitating life again here. She's in the movie she talks about how she likes acting now. She's never done it before, but she wants to do other movies, and evidently that's what she's doing. She's got a couple things coming up, so she's continuing to act after being plucked off the street to be in this movie, to play a person who was plucked off the street to be in the movie within the movie, and now she's actually being another thing.
Where does it end?
Where does it end?
Where does it begin? You can stream this. I rented it on YouTube. Or didn't he advise us not to watch a certain version?
Yeah, I rented it on. I guess that there was some real bad drifting with the subtitles. The French film and the subtitles were drifting really bad on the Prime. I guess it was streaming on Prime for a minute, not streaming on Prime anyways anymore. But he advised us. Nick advised us to watch it on. Apple TV is an easy one, $5 rental.
Oh, you know what? I rented it there, but I couldn't download it for the flight, so I ended up renting it twice and downloading it and watching it.
This is a movie that I would maybe like to see a sequel like 5 years from now with the same kids.
Oh, like a 7-Up situation?
And kind of like 7-Up, but and be authentic and like where are they now? And maybe that director is returning, or I don't know.
All right.
I like this movie a lot. I don't know if it's one that we're talking about in the Vaulties, but this is a very good movie that should not go unnoticed.
Yeah, for true cinephiles.
For the true cinephiles. That reminds me of that one movie that we saw a long time ago.
What's that?
Cinepolis?
Reminds me of
Cinemania?
Cinephile.
Cinemania.
Cinemania.
All right.
We have a lot more, but I should table it because we're already an hour and 20
Well, what else do you want to say? I just steamrolled. Like the coffee kicked in. We're doing a morning show. Would you like to talk any more about the worst ones over here?
No.
What? You don't have any more to talk about the worst ones?
We just talked for 20 minutes.
You said we have a lot more, but...
Oh, and movies. Many more
well, we're going to do
films.
Stray Dogs next.
Next, and right now? Or?
Yeah, as in right now.
Wow.
We could take a quick break.
This is
Because
robust.
I'm guessing the second episode is going to be shorter than a normal episode.
Yeah, it's not even the second episode because it's all one big fat episode.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So,
The
yeah,
second
the top
part,
five is not going to take. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on our. We never do on our New Year's show resolutions.
Brian's got to talk about getting a new towel for the
Cleaning the bin.
I already did that.
You did. Was that just to say you accomplished one of your?
It was one of my. It was when I was researching. Should we talk Stray Dog?
Yeah, let's talk Stray Dog.
Stray Dog is another assigned film.
Andrew Martin assigned us this one. He has assigned us a
Andrew.
number of movies in the past. Andrew Martin, friend of the show, friend of mine. He was the hardest working guy on Groupers. When I shot Groupers, he was a PA. And he had never worked on a film set before,
Really?
to my knowledge. He actually went to PA school to know that what
Wow.
he needed to do. I've told these stories before on here. I've also talked about Polite Society on here, but I don't expect you to
I don't know what
hear
that
what I
is.
say. But yeah, Andrew Martin was the hardest working guy on Groupers, myself included, I think.
Oh.
That guy just worked. And friend of the show.
Stray Dog is a 1949 film.
He also has a show of his own. Andrew Loves Movies. Is that what it's called? Oh shit!
You're saying
I'm
he's
sorry.
a real cinephile?
He's a real cinephile. Like, he's got tattoos of movies and horror movies mainly all over his body. Yeah.
Stray Dog is a 1949 film directed by Akira Kurosawa. This clocks in at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. So you can stream this on the Criterion channel, which I did. Number 10, Anderson, on the list of the greatest Japanese films of all time, as listed by Japanese film magazine Kinema Cinema. Kinema Junpo. Kinema Junpo. This was released in 1949, received an American release in the U.S. in 1963.
Okay. This is the fifth or sixth movie. Andrew's been with us for a while, and I think this is number 5 for him, and they've all been Kurosawa movies. All of them. So we're kind of going through the Kurosawa catalog.
I'm catching up.
Andrew also assigned us other Kurosawa movies. Ikaru, if you recall. The Hidden Fortress, one that I don't have written down because I suck. And now Stray Dogs. Somehow I lost it in my notes.
Let's see if I can find it.
All right, so back to Stray Dogs. Stray Dogs, the worst part of Stray Dogs for me is the transfer. The transfer was not great.
That is quibbling?
Well, not really. When you're actually watching a movie and it feels like it's much more rough around the edges than it needs to be because the transfer is not great, right?
Good point.
Somebody just watched, Carano just watched Roadhouse the other day. I don't know where he watched it, but you could see hair like on the film strip and it was bouncing around and stuff. Like somebody just took like a dirty old film strip, did a telecine of it, and then put it up on Amazon. That's unacceptable.
That is odd.
It's not
Feels
good.
like a shortcoming. And Fortress, Ikaru.
So the movie opens up with
High and Low.
High and Low. That was the other one. The movie opens up with a what we will soon learn is a rookie cop on a bus, city bus.
But it's come to become a lot of tropes.
And we've seen a lot of these things since, but I think it was kind of breaking some new ground, especially in Japan, for this story and what's going on in Stray Dogs. So we'll find out.
Did you assign us to Jimbo?
Yes. Okay. And High and Low? All right.
I'm just looking at the Kurosawa films I've seen recently.
So he gets pickpocketed on this rookie cop on this city bus. He's going to get off the bus, and he just stands up. He realizes the guy that just got off the bus stole his Colt, his
service pistol.
Service pistol, exactly. And he chases after the guy. There's a brief chase scene, and the gun is gone, which is a big faux pas.
Big problem.
They've made entire movies about a gun getting out in the populace, which is crazy for us to think living here in the United States, especially in 2024. But like La Haine, that movie that I'm always referring to, Hate. Have you ever seen La Haine?
I have not.
You need to get the fuck out of here. You need to leave right now.
Can I stay in my home?
So La Haine, the inciting incident, everything about La Haine is about this gun that's out there on the streets, and they heard that there's a gun which is crazy, right? Anyway, so his gun gets, and that is a problem, especially if you're a new cop, and he has to go tell a sergeant, hey, someone stole my gun on the bus. I'm going to find it, but what's going on?
In the meantime.
Yeah. And the rest of the movie is him working ultimately later on with a more experienced cop, but he's going to the seedier parts of town trying to find his gun, and he's going down a bunch of rabbit holes, and we're seeing like opium type dens and ladies of the night and gun trade alleys. Yeah, the seedy underworld. And that's pretty much the root of it. That's the story.
A nominal plot.
Yeah.
Yes. Him trying to retrieve his gun, or at least find the person who he suspects stole it.
And what do you what would you like to say?
So this is considered an early example of the buddy cop genre. He and his older, a little more weathered partner seek out this underworld, like you said. Ladies in the night, opium dens, like you also alluded to.
You're just saying everything I've already said.
I'm repeating what you said. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Brian. I'm trying to look up one thing, and then I was hoping that you would stall for time a little bit more.
At one point, he gets a lead early on of a woman who might know some information, and he tails her. Not a really subtle job at tailing.
No.
In fact, at one point, he's sitting in the table next door at a restaurant.
Yeah, he's definitely fresh. He's definitely new, and he's not great at his job yet, which you feel for, and that's part of the whole the story arc.
Right. He's not an ace detective at this point in his career.
No.
In fact, he would green.
Oh my God! Why am I not finding his name?
What
He's
do
the
you
guy that he's the buddy cop. He's the older
Yojimbo.
cop. Yeah, he's the guy that's in all of his movie, and I'm drawing a blank on his fucking name, and it's not showing up.
Come on.
It's not. Whatever. I just feel like ashamed that I don't have the name off the top of my head.
Shame.
Myfoon. It's Myfoon, right? His name is not showing up on IMDb for the fucking Stray Dog cast
Straight
and
on.
crew.
Straight on.
So.
Yes, Toshiro Mifune.
Yeah, Mifune.
Plays or Mifune.
I think Mifune. I think he was
plays
like
the main character.
He was
and his partner is Takashi Shimura.
So he was in like 2/3 of Kurosawa's movies. Like you see him in all sorts of different roles. It's one of the most long established like director actor tandems you'll see in all of movies.
Are you talking about Takashi, the
Mifune.
co-star?
Mifune.
Okay, 'cause Takashi, apparently, according to Wikipedia, was in 21 of Kurosawa's 30 films.
The main cop,
No, the partner.
part of Mifune.
No, the partner, the older.
Yeah, that's
detective.
Mifune, I thought.
No, that's Shimura.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
You may have the
Exposing
names.
my dark, deep secret of not knowing things. My blind spot, Brian, is on full display. I feel naked over here. I hate it. Mifune is the main guy.
Yes, yes.
I didn't know that.
Mifune-
You still need to get out because you have not seen Lahane. So that's
True.
just not
So I feel like I'm helping.
All right, so here's what you're getting into when you're watching this movie. It's nearly 2 hours long, and it's sweltering hot. It's during a heat wave,
Yes, it is.
which is played up quite a bit. Everyone's sweaty and
A lot of
everywhere you
mopping
go.
of the brow.
And he's hunting for his. He's meeting the local color, and as he hunts for his gun in these seedy parts of town, which you can tell this cop has not spent any time. This new recruit has not spent much time down in these
Yes.
parts, and. The smoking scene where she's smoking that thing as though she's a high school cigarette fiend and the principal's around the corner or something. She's got to smoke it down fast. She's hotboxing. That's opium that she's smoking there, right? We're led to believe that that's drugs, right?
Is that true?
I would believe so. That's why they plied her with opium as they're interrogating her. So there's some interesting things here as far as like it felt like you got a little French New Wave was in there for the first time in any other Kurosawa movies I've seen, as well as Hitchcock. Like you could definitely feel him reaching for some Hitchcock
Hitchcockian
stuff.
elements. There's also, it's a little indulgent. Like at one point there is a the baseball montage. There's an undercover.
I love the baseball stuff.
There's an undercover montage where he's going into these corners of society that is, far be it for me to criticize the master, far too long. It is like 10 minutes in real time.
They spent quite a bit of time down in there.
It is.
And ultimately,
mind-numbing.
what the movie's all leading up to is they're searching for this one guy that they think they track down. And they think that, and there's some interesting cop work and how they'd figure out like who had it and like one thing. It felt like a CSI episode.
It felt to me like 7 in the sense
and I
that
wrote that down, Brian. It's early 7 for sure because
you have the young adolescent detective and the older one who's seen it all.
Somerset, yeah.
Yeah, they even interact like at each other's homes, and then the villain who's really driving the plot is not revealed or even introduced until very late in the movie.
But they know him and they're talking about him a lot.
Yes.
They know
He's
like
an
the
omnipresent
idea of
force.
him,
Yeah.
right? But it's all, and when there is space that's shared, we see his feet only, which only heightens the who is this guy? And it's funny that you say 7 because I wrote it down too. So we're both like on the same page with that. You see a lot of early influences in this movie, but it's not the type of movie where it's like, oh, you got to go back unless you're a
Cinemania?
yes. Exactly.
Cinemaniac.
I'm happy I saw Stray Dogs. We're getting closer to have seen.
All.
Oh well, no wonder I can't find his name. I'm looking at the 2013, which they use a very similar poster on. Oh, those sons of bitches! No
They
wonder.
remade the film?
Yeah, I think they remade it a couple times.
Oh.
Well, when you're the 10th greatest Japanese film ever made, I mean
That's
to
true.
be
This is
expected.
a 1949.
I didn't realize that. I was looking at that. Makes a lot more sense. Okay. Anyways, I think Ikaru is my favorite that we've seen since.
Is that the one they remade with Bill Nye?
Yes.
Yeah. That was really good.
And you're right. Takashi Shimura is the lead. And I always think that he's Mifune, but he's not. Oh, foolish Andy. Either way, some really good filmmaking here. We are catching up with Kurosawa. Most people will cite Yojimbo
Right.
And
Hidden Fortress.
no, not so much Hidden Fortress, but Ron for sure.
Oh, sure.
And
Rashomon.
Rashomon, yes, definitely. I think Ron's still my favorite of all. It's where you see it from 3 different perspectives, which I really liked, and even influenced how I put together my feature when I made it. I really, same with Courage Under Fire. I like seeing the same events but through different points, POVs. That one that we liked last year about with Adam Driver and the duel. The last duel. Yeah, the last duel. Same kind of thing. We see the same events, but everything's skewed because everyone has their own perception of things. And I think the more we can explore that and realize that that is just the truth, the more we can accept other people's different opinions because everyone sees things a little bit differently. And I think that's something that's lacking.
Well put. You know what's also an interesting angle of this movie, which we haven't talked about, is it was released in 1949. This is a movie that is, you forget until there's reminders just how close it was to World War II and to the bombings of Hiroshima, and then Nagasaki. Like, they're talking about like ration cards and rice cards, and the pall of World War II hangs over this movie. I don't know if you got that.
I did. I got that.
But you forget until you're reminded. You know what I mean? I didn't go in there thinking, oh, here's a post-World War II movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right there. And it's not just post-World War II. It's one of the main countries that was involved in the war. And was the first one, I don't know if you saw his very first one, but it was Sanshiro Sugata. And that was made in 43 during the war. And he had to make concessions and get a lot of passes from them.
Yes,
and I think he had to remake another one to satisfy the government because there was still censorship going on. And so... yeah, he's directed 33 movies. I'd say I'm about halfway through them now. We're going to continue. It's still a blind spot, though, especially with just how I fucked up the names there. A lot of shame about that.
We're trying to fix that.
A lot of shame about that.
Avery,
can you fix that?
I'll just make that the whole episode.
All right.
Just say yes.
Thank you, Andrew, for continuing us down this path. I can't say I liked this one, but I appreciated all the influence that it had on movies that I've seen since.
How is our signing list looking right now? It's got to be dwindling.
No, because I got to go back
God damn it.
We got through a bunch, but now there's a bunch of people that are now due again. So yeah, I'm sure that it's dwindling as far as what I've caught up with. But we'll talk more about that in what is it? New Year's resolutions. Yeah.
Speaking of which, coming up next, we'll count down our top 5 New Year's resolutions as they pertain to the show you're listening to. Welcome back. Time to count down our top 5 New Year's resolutions as it pertains to this program. Anderson, you have 5?
I do have 5.
Good. You understood the assignment.
You're making the first one really hard, though.
You mean nice to me?
Yeah.
I feel like that's your resolution every year.
I know, and I've not
violate
accomplished
it before you actually get to it.
Some people are trying to lose weight every year. You know, there's always repeats.
Right.
We're trying to quit smoking.
It's evergreen.
Trying to quit meth. I mean, there's always people trying to quit things, and sometimes it doesn't take on the first 10 or so times.
I'd like to hear your list.
All right. Number 5 for me has already been touched upon, and that's just I'm just trying to have a better demeanor. I mean, I'm very fortunate to be in a position where I'm paid to not only watch movies but talk about them and discuss them, and I'm such pontificate. And whether I'm talking to a listener, a stranger that I meet who likes, I get tingling.
Someone at the grocery store.
I do. I just love talking movies. I love it. I don't get to do that with my wife, really. She rarely hears me out about any movie. I've learned to not even talk to her about movies because she doesn't care. But having friends who, are capable of having thoughts and differing opinions, I love talking movies. Who is that?
I like to hear that person.
You're one of those people.
What?
And I get to get paid to do that every week. And sometimes I lose sight of how fortunate I am, and I let rage get the better of me. And just because I disagree with you,
that's your charm, buddy.
That's not my charm. And I don't want to, stop doing this show one day and then, look back and be like, I I don't think I appreciated it, and I think I was too much of a. I think I cared too much about certain things.
So what's the resolution?
So the resolution is to try and not sweat the little stuff. Just kind of enjoy the ability to talk movies, share ideas about movies, right or wrong. And honestly, you've gotten a lot better in the last 10 years. I mean, when we started doing this, and all you wanted to do was talk about the same 4 movies, and
12 movies.
And you were patting yourself on the back as like a movie expert, it infuriated me. But you've come a long way. And you still got a way to go.
But he's seen Manchurian Candidate, so he's a
That's
movie knower.
That's
It's a great movie.
That's the approach that he had, and he would talk with such a smug authority, and it just. But I don't.
That's just how I am.
No. So yeah, just try not to. And you know, if we're getting off track a little bit, I already did it early on in this episode. If you want to, take a detour and talk about Cinepolis or Cinemania for a minute, just let you do. Maybe I give you a little shit, but I don't want to be tearing into you and demeaning you as often as I do.
That's our dynamic, buddy.
I know, but it doesn't have to be. See what I'm saying? I'm gonna try, and you know what? Even if I don't make it, it'll be entertaining watching me try for the first couple weeks.
I like that.
For the first couple weeks.
I'm going to start off by mentioning a couple of...
This comes to mind, too, and this is more authentic than in years past, I think, is because I really have missed talking movies with you over the last couple of weeks. So we rarely go 2, 3... I mean, I haven't seen you in 3 weeks, so it was 2 weeks off of you and I, and I missed talking movies. I was wondering, like, as I'm watching movies, I wonder what Brian's going to have to say about this, and I bet he's going to say this about that. And, I'll get angry.
Did I live up to your expectations?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's number 5.
Well, let me start off by mopping up a couple of resolutions from years past that I'd like to reprioritize. These are ones maybe we didn't quite get to or didn't they get chucked off the list, but I think are still important and are good for the show. Number 1, I would resolve, this is from years past, a bonus, but stay with me. Excuse me. I would like to reincorporate guests into the show.
Yeah.
We are remiss not to have the occasional guest on the show.
Ever.
And I would like to have that be a bigger part. And also, I really do feel like this is the year we get back to doing a live show. I'd like to get back in front of the people.
I'm always saying that.
Inspired by Avery.
And we'll just be like sitting in traffic in the middle of the day, not a film all day at all, and we'll just get a text from Avery that says, "We should do a live show." It's like, okay, yeah, you got any leads? Like, you got any ideas?
No, that's the end.
Yeah, that's the end.
That's an idea.
The first time he did that was a few months ago, and Brian's response was classic. He just said, "A great idea, no notes."
Where's the lie? All around, it was a good idea.
Lo and behold, now it's on the top 5.
Yeah, now it's not top 5. However, number 5 this year for my 2024 resolutions, I'll start off by doing one that we started to last year, and I enjoyed it so much. We resolved at the time not to do it too often, but I would like to make it a regular thing to do listener questions for our Patreon episode once in a while. Not every month. I feel like some people are like, apparently some people really want an extra top 5.
For the most part, what I heard is like at the most every other month. But
Right.
for the
I feel
most,
like once a quarter is reasonable.
yeah, 4 times a year.
4 times a year,
Because
yeah.
I like to listen to what the people have
Totally.
to say. And
it prompts discussion that we might not have otherwise.
right.
So I love the interaction. I love hearing from you guys. I love prompting discussion of things we wouldn't think to talk about sometimes. So listener questions as a Patreon episode or Patreon element at the very least will be a regular thing in 2024.
Okay.
Again, not every month. I've heard the people, but this will be something we do on the reg.
Maybe we can pepper them into the regular episode, you're saying?
Yeah.
Like maybe.
Oh, no, I like the idea of doing it through Patreon,
Gotcha.
via Patreon. That said, I don't think the appetite is there amongst the listenership to do it every month. I feel like that should be spread out.
Number 4 for me is speaking about Patreon. Just it falls on my shoulders to organize what's owed, what's going on with Patreon, to check in with people, to answer the questions that people have on there. And now that I'm more organized than I've ever been with the film stuff that I'm doing concurrently with the real estate stuff, which is all very detail oriented, I'm in a groove of getting everything organized and everything check marks and lists, but I still don't do that as much as I should for the Film Vault. So I am switching that the same approach to the Film Vault as well, and I will be on top of that, where it is as much as I would like to say, hey, if we owe you something, You probably know because you're the one paying us. Let me know. Send me an email, and I'll add you to the list. That should be on me. You guys are paying me and Brian.
Right.
You are hiring us to do a job, which
That's
is to
true.
cover a movie or a topic for you, and it's for good money. It's not for just a little bit of money. Or you're paying just $5 a month, which is also a lot for, the amount of content that you can get out there. I'm pretty good about answering questions that come straight into the Patreon. I'm really good about answering my email questions that come directly to me, but I should be better at, saying, all right, you're up next month. Here's the movie. We just got a little overwhelmed. So I'm going to be better because I would like to reiterate. It falls completely on me. Brian helps me not at all.
I thought your resolution was going to be for Brian to do more.
Yeah, I was bracing myself.
That'd be a good one, but I don't know if he's capable.
Can we assign resolutions? Because that would be a fun episode. Excuse me. Yes, the part where our listeners let us know if they are owed something is a good fail-safe. But yes, I agree. We meaning you, should be more on top of. We got you.
And
we
like
got you
Stephen Morris, I know that we owe you not only a couple topics. He's a decider. Also, I owe him a huge, huge thank you. I think I did it before you were back on the show, Brian. But Stephen Morris gave a ton of money to Loaded for Bear, the Loaded for Bear efforts. And when I say a ton of money, I mean like he gave over $10,000 to the production, which came at a time that we were really kind of down in the dumps and like not able to pay people and we were behind. And I owed a bunch of people money for the work that they had done. And that came in at a perfect, very, very good
on
time.
you, Stephen Morris.
So I heard you were going to rename it
Morris.
Loaded for Steven.
I was, that's the new plan. Yeah. Loaded for Steven.
Hey, listen, contributors have certain benchmarks they want to hit.
But yeah, that said,
Stipulations.
if you're Steven, and I think Steven, we discussed it, but I don't remember ever hearing the answer. What also sucks is like if you give $500 or more to Loaded for Bear, you're invited to the weekly producers meetings. So when I say weekly, I do them when I can. Lately, I haven't been able to do them as much as I would like. But the most recent one, which was Steven's first one on there, I didn't even know that he was on there. I saw a face that I wasn't sure about. It's a Zoom meeting because I was in the car with Atticus coming from a showing. And I was doing the Zoom meeting from the road, which wasn't ideal. Oh, dear. And I didn't even get to like welcome Steven to the producers meeting for the first week or say hello or introduce him to people.
He knows what he's paying for.
Yeah.
If you're Steven, just know that Anderson saw you.
I didn't realize until Eric Robbins told me after the fact. Yeah, that was Steven on there. And I couldn't see names and I could barely see anything because I didn't have my reading glasses on because I was driving, Brian. All right, anyways. Point is, I will be better at getting to you before you have to get to me. That said, if you are owed or you feel like you are, just shoot me an email and say, hey, I think I'm up. Can you double check? And I'm always, it's not because we're just not caring. It's because I just haven't done I got to sit down for like 2 hours and go through all of the different tiers and figure out who's owed
If you
what.
need any help, don't feel free to ask.
Avery, yes, I got it. Very good joke, Brian. Very, very funny joke.
Wasn't
That was about as telegraphed
Not a joke.
as telegraphed as the Ferrari crash.
Is there a crash in that movie?
Jarring.
The only thing anyone's gonna talk about with Ferrari is the crash.
It's one of the most telegraphed yet still jarring things you'll ever see.
We discussed ad nauseum last week. Yes,
Oh,
I think our theory is correct.
they did it at the exact spot where it happened too. Like they went out of their way
Really?
to make it as authentic as possible. Yeah,
When we talk about your
they
resolution.
actually killed a couple of the kids too. Like they're
Oh my God.
they're the like the grandchildren of the actual kids.
I changed my
That
review.
is-
4 stars.
Very elaborate.
They just wanted to be authentic as possible. The bloodline had to be there.
We want to honor your dead relatives.
It does not belong in that movie. Like the rest of the movie is so not that. You know what I mean?
It's almost the only reason it's rated R.
Yeah, I think you might be right. It might be no. There was the fuck them with the
Yeah,
Penelope Cruz. Choose the scenery. That Penelope Cruz. She's choose the scenery.
She does something with the scenery.
I
Penelope shoes.
will bet you $100 right now.
That was really good.
We shouldn't be doing that because neither one of us have money.
That's true.
But I would be shocked if Penelope's not up for Best Supporting Actress.
Really?
Yeah. But Avery thinks that she was a wet blanket that didn't deserve to be on screen.
Maybe I will see this film. Number 4 for me. Once again, something we started to do last year irregularly, and I realized was a really good idea, and I would like to keep this going as a regular thing. For our bonus Patreon episode, our top 5, we did a few times updating a list that was 10 years old or older. I would like to continue and make it sound regular to update a 10-year-old or older list for our top 5s, because at the time, what we had to work with. But a decade has passed or more, and now we have a whole new roster of films to choose from. So we have many episodes in our history and the Orange Couch days and beyond of topics that can be refreshed, added to, spruced up, and I would like to keep doing that.
Yes, I'm in total accordance with that, and it's good for the show, good for the listenership, I think, and good for us as well.
And these are great topics that we haven't touched in
some
10,
real
12
good
years.
meat and potato topics that we have not looked at all, which is a disservice because so many, not only have movies come out since then, but we've caught up with movies that came out
Also
before
true.
that as well. So we would have, and we just got to train you on how to do it properly. We don't just make a new top 5 list. We add to the 5 that
incorporate.
are, we incorporate and reorder.
think
So
about
we'd have a top 10 list, Brian. I know that you're really married to the top 5.
Yeah, I never have an extra for today.
Are we doing an Amazon read on this?
Oh my God, are we ever? We got 3 weeks for the Amazon to
Well,
read.
geez, we better get to that.
Well, let's do you want to do it right now?
All right.
Let's do it right now.
This
Coming
one's
up next.
Number 3 for me is kind of similar to number 5, but it's I think I kind of married the two, but less anger with you, and then just less stress about the way the show's going. I'm gonna stop trying to overproduce, and I just the show.
Overproduce.
Because I'm always trying to keep it in line. Like no one cares about that, Brian. We got to have movies. Movies are still gonna be at the forefront, but I'm fine with the show being a little more after disaster.
A little digression.
Yeah, I'm good.
More cheese talk.
It makes me more angry with you, so they're kind of hand in hand. But I'm gonna stress less.
You're really conflicting your top 5.
How? It's not
It makes
conflicting.
you more angry with me, but you want to do it.
No, I'm saying I'm trying. No, it goes hand in hand because the less stress I have about staying on movie
I
topic,
see.
the less angry I get with you for,
Okay.
talking about your own personal life or ideas you had or things you said.
First
And
class.
I do the same thing as well. First
called
class
upper
stories.
class.
Yeah. So I'm fine with doing a little AD style
Both ways.
moments here and there with you, and I got to stop fighting against it.
Look at you.
Yeah.
The freedom finally spread my wings on my own show.
It might mean your own show.
Show I created.
You created the show. Who named the show? Who came up with 3 of the 4 segments? No, I'm doing it. Okay, whatever. Yeah, it's right, Brian. Your show. I'm lucky to be a part of
See,
it.
look at you.
Lucky to be a part
Doesn't
of it,
credit.
boss. Oh God, that felt gross. It felt so wrong. It felt so.
This is the best episode ever.
That felt awful. That really did make it. Made my. I could feel my.
You shivered. Look
Yeah.
at you. You have like a stitch in your
I
neck.
could feel my spine kind of like stiffen up in a bad way.
You can feel your spine.
Oh yeah.
Good for you. You come a long way.
Oh, because I couldn't before because of the brokenness of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's mean. It's very mean. Okay. What's your number 3, and then we'll take a break.
Number 3 is apropos to my the upcoming Amazon read, because could be more perfect. You want to talk about things beyond film? Guess who was recently verified on Instagram?
I don't know what that means, and I don't.
This
care.
guy.
There's a verification
There's
process
verification on Instagram. Yeah.
until Plastic Face buys it and it says he can buy it for
Who's
$10.
Plastic Face?
Elon.
Oh, yeah. He might try and destroy another social media platform, but until then, we should take advantage of the perks
Of your juice.
The juice.
Yeah.
And honestly, to be serious, my number 3 is one thing I have observed in following certain people on Instagram, certain accounts, certain influencers, whatever. They do a really good job of highlighting like things like through Amazon affiliate link, but like specific items. Like I'll follow of all things, an account that's like all about cleaning things, and they're like, oh, this cleaner is the best, or this spray is the best, or this sponge, or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I can imagine a lot of people probably, click that link and swipe up and go through and purchase, and they get a little hit on the back end. We should, and Avery, this is going to incorporate your involvement in the number 3 as best we can. When we talk about movies or products or whatever, it won't be every time, and it won't be every episode, but some episodes it'll be 2 or 3 times. Highlight those things, and I would happily, repost them on Instagram, and we can get that much farther, that much more supercharged, I think, on our affiliate click-throughs.
Sounds like my resolution.
That's right.
Sounds like I'm being assigned a resolution.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like you just assigned him.
I do need
Also,
help.
this
with
just
that.
seems like common sense, something we should have been doing all along that you should
Yeah,
have
but
talked to
now
me
I can
about.
really take advantage and
It feels kind of
swipe
gauche
up
to be
for a
talking
link.
about like business decisions like that, even though my number 1 is absolutely a business decision, but it's less directly affiliated with monetary value.
My point
It's
is,
just to fire me.
Yes.
Our listeners have done a great job, as you'll see in the upcoming Amazon read, of keep tapping that banner, keep clicking on the link. You guys do an awesome job, even when the show isn't fully present during the holidays. You guys are doing a great job of continuing to purchase and just tap the link, and we appreciate it and want to make it easier on you and more relevant, frankly. Like, there's a product or a movie or whatever we talk about, we'll throw that link up there, and it'll be on your Instagram feed.
Let's go. All right. Speaking of which,
Speaking of which, coming up next, yes, the Amazon 3. Oh, God, I almost swallowed my own tongue. 3 weeks from Amazon. Thanks to you guys in advance. And then more movie resolutions after this. Like I said, it took me a while to go through it, but it was a labor of love. Seeing all the things you get. It started December 21st. So if you bought something from December 21st to the early January like we are now, thank you in advance, and thanks for supporting the show. Keep tapping that banner or the link or whatever it is, and we appreciate you. Here are some of the many things purchased on that link. Like we said, in our stead, a Dell Optiplex 7000 desktop computer, an HP 15.6-inch laptop for college students, is what it says. I assume anyone's allowed to use it. I don't think you have to be a college student to use this device, but if that's why you got it, thank you. Arcade 1-Up X-Men 4 arcade machine. I assume that's a full freestanding arcade machine, so enjoy that. 2. Oh, God. What is it?
Brian, settle down.
Sorry, it's just bright. 2. Okay, I'm reading it right. MPAYEL. Impale, 60-inch ceiling fan. 2 of those purchased. Turtle Beach, Velocity 1, rudder pedals, 4 PCs. Inus. There you go. Inus electric heated toilet seats. Speaking of anus.
We all saw what happened. We didn't have to say that. We all heard it.
I feel like it had to be lampshaded to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
See, the toilet
I understand. Next, explain lampshading, please.
Oh, I will do that. Pre-air replacement filter for Aprilaire whole house air purifiers. Replacement filters. 2 Studio Buds by Beats. 3 Amazon e-gift cards. Snowy Merry Christmas. How about that? BroView collapsible storage bins. BroView. Magic Water Supply. Black crinkle cut paper. Look at the paper that comes in like a delicate gift, like the nest of crinkle paper. Mm-hmm. Apparently you can buy that on Amazon. Just paper to like stash.
Talking to the microphone, please. See, I'm doing it. Sorry.
But that's good for the show.
It's true. This is the
I guess talking to the microphone is
demand.
best for radio shows.
Jet heavy duty mobile base. Lavoie air purifiers. Detex Trek metal detector. Oh, if there's one of those, just walk up and down the beach.
I have no idea what you're saying. I can't understand anything you're saying. Your marbles are getting more plentiful in your mouth.
Sorry. 20,000 of the shipping address labels. Thank you for always clicking through.
I'm assuming you need quite a bit more.
What's that?
Music.
Oh yeah, this is gonna go 2 or 3 times. Amazon e-gift card Christmas goodies. Brother compact laser printer.
Brother.
Zojirushi rice cooker. BOG Death Grip aluminum tripod. Keurig K-Supreme coffee maker was purchased. Someone got a Donsura retro handheld game controller. Oh, excuse me, game console. I read that wrong. Game console. Scroll. Okay. Where are we? Isopure protein powder, creamy vanilla flavor. Jet mobile base extension kit. Western Digital 5 terabyte external hard drive. SanDisk 2 terabyte extreme solid state drive. Extra tough. I'll say extra tough. That's spelled very weird. Extra tough women's 6-inch leather boots. Yoto Player Kids Bluetooth speaker. 2 extra large black gift boxes. 5 Adidas Women's Game Court 2 sneakers from Bridges. So much fun. My God, I'm close to the end. Sorry. Yes, the lead pot hydroponics growing system, Lithonia lighting LED bay light, Amazon e-gift card skating polar bear, and Amazon e-gift card surfing Santa. How nice. Keep it going. Cuisinart electric meat grinder, Navage, nasal care starter bundle, HyperX quadcast, a USB microphone, Apple AirPods, Apple Magic keyboard. My God, so much fucking rolling. Almost done. Kids toy storage organizer, 14, count of 14, up top, gift boxes were purchased. And finally, sorry, this is the worst post-hitting or not ever, 5 crocodile cloth cleaning wipes. Cleaning wipes. Nailed it.
You said you weren't even close to the end, so I put.
Yeah, I restarted it.
I know.
Completely.
I put a very chewy thing in my mouth that I can't.
Sorry. It's a long list. It's hard to tell where the end comes.
Well, usually you can see the end, and when you're in the middle, and that's when you would say, like, I'm not even close to the end.
So you're saying see the end, anticipate it coming.
Yeah, and then, oh my God,
What are you showing?
a protein bar.
Oh,
Because that list was so long, I'm peeking.
what flavor is the protein bar?
It's chocolate, Brian.
Oh,
You're going full Corano with this.
I don't like it at all.
can you wash it down? Oh, your water's empty.
Everything that could go wrong is going wrong.
Avery, take over.
Here are the movies that I clicked. This is the last time I talked at y'all. Somebody got the gift. Hey, it's been a minute since the gift was mentioned on this here program.
gift.
In the Bedroom was clicked through, as well as Incendies. Fuck to the yes with the Incendies. That is a challenging watch, but it is goddamn worth it. What a fucking good movie Incendies is, Brian. When Harry Met Sally was clicked through, as well as Happy fucking Texas. Happy Texas. Holy shit. It was a
Sunday's
darling. Darling at Sundance. I was actually on that set quite a bit when it was being shot because I was dating the costume designer at the time. And it was fun hanging out with those guys. Steve Zahn. That's where I first met Steve Zahn. Happy Texas. Boy, was I let down when I saw it. I'm like, this? No, it's a good movie, but Jesus Christ, Happy Texas. Sundance, relax.
I still in the theater.
Sundance still doesn't get a sniff made today, and no one gives a shit about the old Happy Texas. That said, goes down smooth. Black Widow.
Lightweight.
Black Widow strikes again. Do you see that Happy Texas?
Yeah, in theater.
How many lists does it come up on? None.
Very few.
Pieces of April was clicked through.
I can't imagine a list it would come on.
Top 5.
Movies that were oversold to us by Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing top 5.
That and the Spitfire Grill.
A couple. Oh my God, yes, that fucking movie. The thing I remember most about the movie, it's one of the only movies I ever made out with a girl in because I was so bored. I'm like, you know what? Let's just start making out. Did that old teenager cliche thing.
Spitfire?
Hey, Piece of April. What was I gonna say?
I like these things.
Oh, Sundance preview coming up later this month. Oh,
yeah.
Jesus, what's the research going on? Oh, my God, does that take a long time? Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. I didn't go back.
I didn't go.
Shaun of the Dead was clicked through.
You listened to the title, you obeyed.
No, not one person, but 2 people got the old Die Hard.
Never go back.
It's Christmas movie. Yeah, Christmas movie. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was clicked through, as well as Attachment. Amelie, Folk to the Yes. Weird, the Al Yankovic story. One of my favorite scenes all year long in that Weird, the Al Yankovic. Blackberry was clicked through. Folk to the Yes. Point Break was clicked through. Klondike. Barbie, Past Lives. We'll be talking about Barbie here soon. I mean, I'm sorry. Oh my God, Past Lives. The Origin of Evil, Immediate Family, Spectre, The Holdovers. Fuck it. 20 Days in Mariupol?
Mario.
Anatomy of a Fall. We've covered that, right? We talked Anatomy of a Fall?
We still not
covered?
which is
Jesus.
insane.
Guys, Avery and I have seen it. We're going to cover it next week. If you don't, you bald fuck. Oh, I'm doing it again! Son of a bitch!
And Iron Claw.
Assault on Precinct 13. I'm hoping it's the orig, because goddamn, that movie's great for what it is. The Great Beauty is clicked through, as well as Scrapper, Sorcerer, fuck to the yes with the Sorcerer, Star Wars, Clone Wars, the fuck to the no, Star Wars Rebels, Savannah Smiles, fuck to the yes with the Savannah Smiles again, The Fugitive, and Oppenheimer.
What is Savannah Smiles?
It's a childhood movie of mine that I had not thought of in quite some time, and then it's been clicked through the last couple of weeks now that we've done this. 2 different people. I hope they like Savannah Smiles as much as I did.
Maybe the same person going back to revisit it.
It's one of those things where kidnappers become smitten with their kidnappee.
So ruthless people.
Yeah. And it turns out maybe her life is better with the kidnappers than it was in her. Savannah Smiles. Holy shit. It sounds like a porn, but it's not.
It doesn't sound like a porn at all.
I mean, Savannah.
Oh, the porn star Savannah?
Yeah. Savannah is the only child of a wealthy politician, Richard Driscoll, who was more concerned with his image and career than with his family.
Oh,
Sounds hot.
That fucking Driscoll.
Avery, please.
Got Mark Miller, Donovan Scott, Bridget Anderson plays Savannah.
These are not named I know.
No, it's a very small little movie. Peter Graves, you know that name.
I do.
Airplane. All right. Yes.
Airplane. Indeed.
Savannah Smiles. I need to watch this with my son, and then I'll be like, this is what I grew up on. You grew up on horrible YouTube things. I grew up on horrible movies like this. No, actually, I love this movie, I think. God, I need to watch this. Probably saw it 10 times. Is it good? Maybe more.
Good watch all?
Maybe. Is it streaming? Savannah.
Inspire the band. I poked the bear.
Somebody cold called me as a realtor on my way here, actually. And she's from out here. She's looking for a house. She needs our help from a realtor. But right now she's up in Canada. Canada's a large place. And I say,
Indeed it is.
and I say, what part of Canada? Because, I know Canada. I'm like, hey, yeah, she's like, Ontario. I'm like,
Thunder Bay.
huge, why you say that? Because that's where
My grandpa's from.
it's a huge swatch of land up there. But I said, my swath. That's what I said.
Could be a swash.
I didn't say swash. I mumbled because I still have stuff in my. Anyways, I say my mom grew up in Deep River. I used to spend parts of every summer in Deep River. She goes, you got to be kidding me. She's like, that's where I am right now.
Wow.
And it is like one of the small. My grandfather is one of the 3 founding members of Deep River. It's this tiny little town in like 3 hours north of Toronto over there. So that was a fun coincidence. I don't know why I brought that to the program. Sorry.
You added a lot though.
It didn't add anything, and I wish I hadn't brought it. But at least it's during a break, and it's not like in the goddamn middle of the show.
Back to the show.
Back to the program.
Yeah, time for our top 2 each resolution.
Yeah, it's your turn.
I'm excited about number 1.
Oh, it's my turn. Number 2, I would like to go out and find some kind of partnership with a social media expert. Just, I mean, that's one of the rocks that we haven't really flipped over. It's one of the things.
What do you help with?
I think the show would benefit from having somebody who knows how to run socials, and that's what they do, kind of like a Tyler White type person who could maybe I don't know, take a percentage or something. But I think that there's plenty of people who would like the shit that we've been doing on the show for 20 years who have never heard of us because there's so much goddamn noise out there. But if we could use some of the stuff that Eric does with all of the YouTube work that he does for us, if there's just somebody that could help us with Eric Kath, somebody who could help us with the algorithms and all the content that we have and the top 5 lists and all that stuff, if they could help spread the word via the socials that are already in place, I think it'd be smart to get somebody who doesn't even know the show. I go out and I talk to you.
Anyone.
So you could be the headhunter and you go out and find somebody, all right? And that's I'm assigning that to you. But I think it's a good idea, and I think that it would help. Right, it would help our numbers grow. Actually, Logan. But I said somebody who doesn't know the show.
Oh, that's a good point.
All right, no, somebody who doesn't know the show well. Call Logan.
Oh,
look at that! I made a joke about Logan not knowing the show well, which is stupid.
You know what? My number 2 is really on line with yours. So let's just talk about this together. I think one of the best, most efficient ways we can grow this show further is through social media. Specifically, I would like to do I don't think we've done this at all, or hardly at all. Eric does a great job on our YouTube. I would like to further take the video elements that we have. Hi, I'm waving to our camera right now. I like to post some clips of the show virally, like on social media, that we can share and get out there, because I see a lot of shows posting clips that I don't know that the show is that good, but the clips are good, so thus they get people to.
Eric does tons of work. We all understand where you're going. He does tons of work, and he cuts things up, and he puts in the subtitles, and he does tons and tons of work on like our reviews, and he even does up on
TikTok, right?
But yeah, TikTok as well as Instagram, I think. But that's what I'm saying. Like, all of the good work that he does is there. It's a matter of finding somebody who really like works with.
Yeah, let's close the loop.
Yeah, and figuring out the best like places, times, and all that stuff. And yeah, so Eric does phenomenal work, and it goes underappreciated. I don't even see half of it because I'm not watching stuff on myself, or God forbid you. I don't want to see you any more than I have to. I'm doing it again. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in place. But if we could get some, I think there's the last person who really like that's what they do, and maybe they don't know us. They take a look at everything we have, and they're like, okay, we don't have meetings, guys. If you're listening to this, like we don't have show meetings. We should probably. This is a business, but we don't. We're very we're bare bones. And part of it is because we came from Loveline, where we watched like Corolla, and we'd see Drew come in at the end of a day and just kind of turn off his brain almost and just start doing the show. And neither one of them prepped at all. We did not see. I ended up seeing that after the fact. Other shows that I produced, but there was no prep for Loveline, and you and I naively and arrogantly just thought like, we'll just do kind of the same thing. A lot of prep goes into doing the show, but not on the back end of the show. So
true. And by the way, we mentioned Eric Cath, the incredible work he does on YouTube on our channel. Let's mention youtube.com/thefilmball podcast.
Right, and all of our other socials, which are always listed. Avery always puts them in every single show. The show notes are right there. Scroll down, give us a follow. And, it helps spread the word because the show's not for everybody, but I know it's for a lot of people who have not heard it. And also, when we first started, there was like maybe 4 other movie shows. We started so early, we didn't have much competition. And then the studio started coming, and every celebrity started saying, I can talk too. But we've been doing it for a long time, and I don't know if anyone has the same kind of patter or the same kind of rhythm.
At the very least,
we're the best, is what I'm saying.
Record.
We're the greatest, is what I'm trying to say.
We're a good mix. I'm glad you said it.
We're a good mix of you get information and you also get a bunch of foolishness, right?
Yes, well, both.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably the greatest show ever made. That's what I'm trying to say. For some people.
Again, I'm glad you said it.
Yeah.
Number 1.
That's my number 2.
Well, that was my number 2 also.
Okay, number 1 is this is dangerous. And it might be more work for Avery.
Oh boy.
We do the Fanflickssions, which I love. I love hearing from the listeners what they've been watching. But I think also, there's a place maybe where we can I want to add something to the show. I want there to be a new, not a full segment or anything, but something that we add that's a staple that we do every single week. Now, this is something we might abandon. But I would like to hear, and I don't know how we come up with the top comments.
Let's call it yay, nay, or maybe.
Brian stuff. Do you,
maybe.
Do you, that's actually pretty good. Do you man the socials, right? You look at them, you're plugged in?
I'm on the socials.
Yeah.
Mitch is our main canary in the coal mine.
Okay.
Now. Mitch is dialed in.
Mitch, this is for you, I guess. I'm assigning. I would like maybe the top 2 comments or like the top comments of the week to be brought to the program.
Featured. Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So not necessarily even movie, just show related.
Because I'm sure Mitch must see those just in the course of just scraping it for the top 5.
Yeah, if you see something and you want to copy and paste it and shoot it to Avery weekly, not to add, because I know you do so much for us, Mitch, but I would like to hear, not even necessarily movie related, more like aimed at the show, like good or bad. And we can hear what people have, get a little taste. Sweat our beaks on because I don't look at the socials. I don't have the stomach for it at the time. I just don't do it.
Ooh, a little sweet and sour.
Yeah, so maybe a little sweet, a little sour. But I think we can take it.
All right.
The skin's gotten thicker over the years.
I like this.
I hesitate a little bit because sometimes like I still have a hard time saying the word often because I got a lot of shit for saying often. So I'm like, should I say often then? But that doesn't seem right, and I feel like I'm just going to get as much shit for saying often instead of often. And either one is right,
bro.
And I don't want to be in my head. I don't want to be self-conscious.
I'm with you.
But I feel like we should listen. I feel like we should hear a little bit. You know what I mean?
I don't mind that.
Let's see how the show goes with that. Right? So starting next week, let's hear a couple comments. Right. And feel free. Hey, if you're not commenting on our old socials over there and you want to maybe hear your opinion be heard, get in there and start commenting.
We call this from all
Twitter, Facebook, little TikTok over there. Yeah, give your comments.
Reddit too.
Reddit.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, get out there.
Our Patreon, perhaps?
Yeah,
but I think we need more engagement from the socials.
Yeah, it's the socials that I'm.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. If you want to leave comments on Instagram, Anderson and Bryant. Facebook, The Film Vault. Twitter, The Film Vault. TikTok, Anderson and Bryant.
Oh my God, I'm even saying it's too late by the time you're hearing this, unless Avery gets it up in record time. But we're doing our Patreon watch along, which I announced on the Patreon. If you've ever been signed up for Patreon, or if because you don't have to pay for Patreon to be signed up to still get the stuff. You just don't get any of the
Right, but you get alerts.
perks. But yeah, so I always send out the announcement to everyone. But we're doing our first watch. We're doing 2 watch-alongs this month. Our first one's tonight. We're going to be watching Gotti.
Yeah.
We're going to figure out
boy.
what makes a burrow of 5 boroughs
What makes it
together.
best?
Yeah, what makes it. So, okay.
Exciting.
It's my number one is we're going to hear some comments.
All right.
Uncensored.
Number one for me, we diverge on this because number one is very different for me. However, I'm genuinely.
So that was really bad for the show, but I
What
found
was
this
that?
Savannah Smiles soundtrack. When Savannah Smiles.
You're really selling it.
I didn't see that coming.
Can you bring it up a little bit for Bryce?
Good watch along.
It's only on like Tubi and like places with ads. So
Ugh.
don't you hate all the streamers are just turning into cable all over again, giving us ads or merging together? It's just like we're gonna have to have like 4 different cable subscriptions essentially.
I like that some are starting to give up, though. I like
Just
that.
no, they're just merging with others. So we're gonna
Oh,
have
are
like
they?
we're gonna have like 3 fucking cable companies, and if you want to watch everything, you'd have to have all 3 subscriptions.
It's kind of how it is now, though, just more, right?
Yeah, and you can kind of pick and choose, but fucking okay. All
I
right,
think we
Brian.
get a copyright notice for Savannah Smile soundtrack.
I'd be shocked, but look at this poster.
The poster is kind of sweet.
Yeah, it is.
Number one for me.
Sorry, Brian. To step
I'm
over.
excited, genuinely, to get back to something we did. It was a hallmark of the show, a staple, something I look forward to, and we haven't done in over a year. I can't remember the last time we did this. I'm decreeing, after the Oscars, once award season is put to bed, after the Vaulties, let's get back once and for all to assigning each other movies. I miss assigning movies. I miss being assigned movies. The calendar between February and say the summer
Okay.
season in
All right.
May
After,
is
yeah.
a
I'm
bit of
in.
a dip, so we'll have plenty of time to get back into listener assignments as well as host assignments. I'm all for it.
I'm in. All right, we got to go. Atticus got out of school a half hour ago. I have to fucking go.
Is he just staying there bouncing a ball by himself?
He's got other kids bouncing balls, but there's not a lot of like structure going on.
Happy birthday to me.
Come on, let's go. Let's gamble and get at it.
We have 2 options. We can either gamble on Mean Girls or we can gamble on the Book of Clarence.
God.
Mean Girls is no score.
Okay,
Book of Clarence does.
I think Mean Girls.
Mean Girls?
Yeah, don't you? That way Brian can't cheat. And
It's true.
Can we please do Clarence?
God, I hope Clarence is
on
good.
5, you ready? I got a number.
This is from Mean Girls?
Yeah.
All right.
1,
Wait, no. Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 85.
71. Oh, I'm going lower. 71.
It's gonna be better than we expect.
85. I was going to say negative 10.
Mm.
Jesus Christ.
What's
All
the
right.
score?
Not bode well.
0.
There is no score. currently.
All right, let's go.
Clarence is only a few scores. I think only
Do we
20
have-
reviews, but it's at 85.
Really?
So,
Do we have any gambling to catch up on or to wrap up? Or
we mentioned it last time. You won with Ferrari.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, I did. You guys, it was great to be back. Great to talk to you. Great to hear from you. Glad you've all reported on what you've seen. Wait,
I hope the Book of Clarence is good.
I want it to be good.
It doesn't look good though. He looks great, but it doesn't look
Yeah.
like it's gonna mesh with the surroundings.
I'm hoping it's a mediocre trailer that's hiding a great film.
that's been happening more and
Yeah.
more lately.
Oh, that's mean.
Oh, the listener art is fantastic. Have you seen it?
No.
It's a lot of reading. While you're reading it, Comedy Confessional returns this Friday.
Oh, we should have done that earlier.
Check it out in Santa Monica. Show starts at 8. It's a lot of fun. And they just got their liquor license, so you can booze away. It's going to be very fun. We collect anonymous confessions from the audience. You can go ahead and click the link in the bio to check it out. And you might even see a little bald one there.
Yeah, with any luck, I'm reading the text-heavy, very funny listener art. Is that mine that cancel for this? For the dreadlocks?
No, you're fine.
I think of both of you guys every time that trailer comes on.
It's,
My life before the people.
it's Brian and his Bob Marley fan.
It's good stuff, Jonathan Oxhorn.
My
Good
juice
as
is for
always.
the people. I could tell it's John Oxhorn without even reading the name. I know
Really?
that- Yeah. He's just got a style. Plus, he uses that one picture of you all the time.
That's true.
very
Thanks,
enjoyable.
Andrew Martin, for assigning us Stray Dogs. Thank you to Nick Eats Cake for assigning us The Worst Ones. Thank you to the Atomic Aces for being our featured artist this week. And like I mentioned, Jonathan Oxhorn for the great listener art. As always, You guys, so much good stuff out there. First of all, the Amazon banner exists on AndersonBryan.com. And Instagram is Anderson and Bryan. TikTok is Anderson and Bryan. The Film Vault. Twitter and Facebook at the Film Vault Podcast on YouTube. Thanks to all of our Patreon listeners. Patreon.com/thefilmvault. We got to watch along this week, which if you're at that level, you can listen to and watch after the fact if you miss it. Or if you enjoyed it so much you want to experience it again. The Amazon banner still sits there at AndersonBryan.com. Thank you guys for employing that while we're away. Appreciate you a lot. And we'll talk to you next week. Until then,
we do it for Van Gogh.